Hey everybody, this is Chuck, and we are reposting today a very special episode of the Chuck and Brad podcast featuring Ray Harrington. I know we did a Zoom this past week, and we try not to do that. We apologize for that, but it was just a necessary thing because sometimes the schedules get tight, and it was. Like I said before, I think we're doing pretty good. I think we've only done 2 across like 84 episodes, so once every, how many. God damn, 8 months, 9 months, whatever. So we apologize about that. Great episode coming this week. We wanted to make sure it was supersized because we felt bad about the Zoom. So it's an over 2-hour episode. We're going to talk about a lot of recent things that happened, a lot of fun stuff, and a lot of travel stuff, my trip to Colorado, and really, really fun episode. We laughed so much on the episode coming up this Wednesday. So we just recorded it, so I hope you guys like it. But right now, also to kind of be like, hey guys, we want you guys to feel like we love you, because we do. We are re-releasing today our Ghostbusters Pitch Doctors episode. And we did this one when Ghostbusters Afterlife came out a couple years ago, so it's pretty recent. But we figured that because the new, the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel is coming out this coming Friday, I think it's March 22nd. We said, this is a perfect time to re-release this. And it's funny because this was definitely the point in time where it's I feel like we did the podcast, the Chuck and Brad podcast for a long time, Brad and I. And then eventually we met Ray, and he was on here and there. And then as we all kind of realized how much fun it was for our voices to be together, he was just on the Chuck and Brad podcast over and over and over. And this was definitely one of those times that was a seedling, a breadcrumb along the route to Funbearable, because this is it feels like we sat down and recorded this for Funbearable. There's no difference between a Funbearable episode and this episode you're about to listen to, but super funny. We start out with this list of PETA's suggested new phrases that are not harmful to animals, which if you're like, what do you mean by that? You just listen, you're going to really enjoy it. And actually, that's going to come up in an episode we're going to record really soon for Funbearable, because Brad had a little idea based on that I think is really funny and really fun. But we do that, and then we get into our pitches for the new Ghostbusters sequels or reboots or whatever, and we all bring different ideas to the table. And man, I obviously haven't listened to this in a long time. I listened back. Oh man, I was just laughing out loud. Brad is so funny. Ray is so funny. I'm there. And it's a really, really fun episode. So again, sorry about the Zoom. Hope you enjoy this repost of the Ghostbusters Pitch Doctors from the Chuck and Brad podcast with Ray. And then I really think you're going to love the episode coming up this Wednesday. So good stuff coming up. Thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for listening. We love all the creativity and the contact and all the fun stuff. Reach out, funbearablepod@gmail.com for anything you need. We're going to do another mail sack episode. We're really pushing to get current with that so that we can have current mail and people can write kind of week to week, and we'll be able to get to it really quickly. But thanks again. Love you guys. Please enjoy episode 545 of the Chuck and Brad podcast with Ray Harrington, Pitch Doctors, Ghostbusters. I'm comedian, writer, and filmmaker Chuck Staten from the punk band Senior Discount.
And I'm writer and comedian Brad Rohr from the Providence Improv Guild.
And this is the Chuck and Brad podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 545 of the Chuck and Brad podcast.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Brad.
How you doing, Brad?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. We're here with a very special guest, the one and only Ray Harrington.
Hello.
One of our buddies. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
Does a lot of stuff.
It's nice to see you, my little boy.
I'm glad Ray is back. Whenever Ray is on...
Thank you for coming, Papa.
Whenever Ray is on, we have a great time. We have a very special thing planned for this, and I can't fucking wait. I gotta say,
he brought us each
whenever me and you
some penny candy.
Whenever the three of us,
a hoop, and a stick.
Here's what happens: we all meet up, and I'm like, "Here is your homework assignments, little babies," and I pass it out, and then we all go, and we walk away, and then we come back, and we're still giggling. This is a moment of fun where we each came up with a thing that none of us know about.
I don't know if I walked away going like that.
You're the first one that did it. We just copied you. You're the cool guy in school. That guy giggles.
I think I walked away more like walked away. And then earlier today went, fuck, I gotta do a thing. Shit.
Oh boy.
And then it got away from me. It so got away from me.
We're gonna kill two birds with one stone this week because Ray's on.
I believe it's feed two birds with one scone.
Oh, that's right, the PETA thing.
Yes.
Sorry.
Did they what?
We like to use
You don't know about this?
anti-animal cruelty language.
Okay.
It's feed two birds with one scone.
Yep.
So we
All right.
stay away from the
but
violence.
Is this a goof that you guys did or a PETA goof? Because
This is
PETA does goofs. PETA for sure does
This
goofs.
is a PETA goof.
This
That's
is
a real
certified-
PETA goof.
That I'm
Yeah.
using.
There's multiple
ironically,
ones.
but
Ooh.
now it's moving towards unironic. Yeah, feed two
What do
birds
you
with one
what do you
stone.
like toss the
And now
fig
it's
skin
now
around?
it's a bird and the ham is worth two in the brush.
Ham? They bring ham into it?
Oh, you're right. That would be anti. That
Yeah.
wouldn't be good.
I would say a bird in the clan. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, they're all meeting up. So we're gonna light this cross on fire on the lawn of that black family, and then you just hear.
Where'd he get that little hood?
Some of these are.
Bring him up. Bring him up.
Yes.
Have you heard about these, Bray?
Here we go. I'm going to start.
No.
All right. So PETA came out with this list of alternative
People
phrases.
for the ethical treatment of animals, which should
right.
technically be PFETA. PFETA.
It's pathetic. So they came up with this list of phrases
Yep.
that replace normal phrases that could be about animal cruelty, like "kill two birds with one stone." They have new alternative phrases. What are they?
Yeah,
Bray?
and those are what's the word for those? They are not anecdotes, they're
they're
Idioms?
idioms.
Idioms? Yeah, they're
that's
idioms.
right.
And I honestly, there's so much that needs work in the world.
Yeah.
There's so much that needs to change.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah,
Changing idioms,
commonalities.
not one of them.
Oh,
Colloquialism.
especially some of these.
Yeah, let's hear 'em, let's hear 'em.
All right, here we go. Number one, harmful. Cry over spilled milk.
Ooh, I would never do that.
Helpful. Cry over burnt toast.
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
'cause-
What about the gluten people?
Yeah,
What about those with celiac disease? They're gonna come back and go, actually, I think it should be called churn over Ted's ghost.
My wife is named Ted.
Uh-oh.
By the way,
My grandmother was a butter churner.
Yes.
you got another one?
Harmful. Packed in like sardines.
Ouch.
Helpful. Packed in like pickles.
Get the fuck out of here. And it's frustrating
I
because
thought you were a woke comic.
No, I'm upset. I'm upset because I'm turning into Jim Brewer now. Catch my new special. I say what I'm thinking. They're not jokes. I just go blah at the end. Sorry, a thing dropped on Twitter today. That's insane because pickles are not known for being like packed in.
No,
You know what I mean?
no,
Like
no.
there's so many ways you could do it.
Yeah.
Pickles and sardines can be packed in as a group because they're schooling fish.
I gotta say, at least with the feed two birds with one scone.
Yep.
At least you're kind of rhyming, and that's fun. Packed in like pickles from sardines is a real bum out.
stretch. It's a
real,
stretch.
It's a real
I
drop.
don't want to
Also-
read all of these because some of them are so dumb.
read the dumbest ones.
Real quick though, shouldn't you be saying feed two birds with one dairy-free scone? What
Right.
if that scone was made
scone-
with milk?
The scone might have eggs in it.
It could have crumb. It could have ergs. It could have all those things. And meanwhile, PETA's just like, that's fine.
Yep.
But don't you dare cry over spilled milk.
No.
While you're making
Why not
your
just
scone.
cry
cry
over
over-
spilled water?
You know what they should have
spill.
changed cry over spilled milk to cry over the existence of milk. That would have been good.
Well, it's don't. It's you. Yeah.
Don't, right.
Yeah. On a wild goose chase is harmful. Helpful. I'm out chasing rainbows.
That was a real joke.
Hold on. I was sorry. I was thinking of something about milk again, and that's what I said to my therapist. No, also, couldn't it be breast milk, guys?
Sure.
guys.
Anyone's
and
milk
if you
could
drop
spill.
your breast milk, you're like, oh,
Oh,
no.
of course. That's
Cry,
a
yeah.
problem. You got to pump
What
it
was
again.
this about rainbows? I
you-
missed it because I was thinking
Oh,
about
like
women.
I was
crying.
out on a wild goose chase.
Oh,
no,
chasing
I was
rainbows.
out chasing rainbows.
It's weird. It's weird because like I like animals a lot, and I do like them. I gotta
Chuck
say,
Staten, pro animal.
I'm like one of those people that like if a sad dog video comes up, I will tear up in the middle of the day just from the sad dog video.
Sure.
But I have to question what's exactly harmful about the wild goose chase. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It sounds like it doesn't hurt the goose that much.
Also, if you do know the history of that phrase of a wild goose chase,
Right.
it's not about animals.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I believe you.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Do your own Googling. It's fun. It's silly. But yeah, it didn't have to do with animals at all.
You guys know how Chuck is always like fidgeting, like he can't sit still.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, Chuck's got ants in his pants.
Oh no,
We
they
can't-
went with the ants.
We can't
about-
say it.
I got
we can't say that.
Can't say that.
Chuck's got pepper in his pants.
It
doesn't
make any sense. What about this one? He's got cramps in his pants.
What?
If you had cramps in your if you had cramps below the waist, you would shift and move.
Well, what if it's the like Midwest pronunciation of aunts, right? He's got ants in his pants, right?
All right, I'm gonna do 4 more. And
They
I'm gonna-
really
So if
should've
you're
gone
gonna
with
chase,
rhyming.
if you're gonna go chasing rainbows, shouldn't they have teamed up with TLC?
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say,
do
right.
chasing waterfalls,
Right.
Also, doesn't that make more sense?
I know.
Ray,
Everybody knows there's a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow.
Right.
Ray, I like the way that you always take the bull by the horns, but what I would
Thank
prefer is if you took the flower by the thorns.
No, that would hurt. That would be way different. That means
Oh, you don't think a bull's
It doesn't
horns
even
hurt?
mean anything.
if you took a bull by the horns, you're leading a troublesome situation.
You're
If you grabbed
taking it on head on, and you're
Right,
dealing with the
right.
situation, and you've got gumption.
Right.
You've got goddamn
you
gumption.
grab a flower by the thorns,
Thorns,
and
you're
you're
stupid.
basically you know what you are.
Whoa.
Hold on, you're backing
Hey,
up.
settle it
A
down.
PETA enthusiast.
I like to think that I'm the one who brings home the bacon. No.
no.
I'm the one who brings home the bagels.
Okay.
Anti-Semitic.
There we go.
Anti-Semitic.
That's what I was thinking because it's about money.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Anti-Semitic. Ooh,
You're
That
right.
is- That's a double Semitic.
You know, we've been
I
talking
bring
about.
home the yarmulkes.
Yes.
Why did I sound like John Mulaney when I said it? I bring
Hi.
home the yarmulkes.
There's
Oh no.
Oh no.
Rosie, cover your ears. Harmful. More than one way to skin a cat. Helpful. Guys, there's more than one way to peel a potato.
I
They're
mean,
really weird.
well, to be fair, skin a cat has always been dumb.
that one's
Yeah.
weird. That
and
is
and
weird.
you can literally say anything.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
more than one way to dig a ditch.
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
more than one way to get your sister pregnant, right? Like you
Right.
can.
right. No, there's only one.
Oh, well,
I
no.
tried all three.
IVF.
Only one worked out.
I tried the other two.
Brad keeps trying that third one.
It is
And
not.
I don't have a
I
sister.
think he's just having fun.
I'll get there. I'll figure it out.
We've been talking about these silly idioms for so long. I feel like we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh no, we're feeding a fed horse.
Get the fuck.
That one's
outta
that
here.
one's not bad.
At least
because
it
it
fits in the
rhymes
same
and it actually
idea.
means the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus take the flower by the thorns, which sounds like just
Yeah.
you did this the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah.
becomes, right?
There's some more on there, but those are the
Those are the
yeah,
all-stars.
yes.
You got to take a bull by the horns. You got to brush your teeth with a bumper sticker. What?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
What about lead a band by the horns? Like the
like
weird, I guess.
like a
section of music.
I'm gonna lead this ska band by the horns.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, boy.
One guy in a ska band somewhere who
Yes.
plays trumpet that wants to be the lead.
Right.
But
He's
we
like, yeah, I like that one.
Yes. I'm gonna lead this band by the horns.
we are here to feed two birds with one stone. Ray is here because we're going to be doing our Pitch Doctors episode about the new Ghostbusters reboot.
Yes.
Where we talk about how would we handle being in charge of a new Ghostbusters movie. In
Rate the feet by
2021.
the corns.
I've
I've just been sitting here staring
Yeah,
at the desk
that's
going,
what-
how do I do this?
I want to make one too. They had their least creative person come up with that list. They were like, it'll be funny. It'll be funny.
Dylan?
Yeah.
Dylan?
And he's like, yeah, hello, yeah.
We need 10 new ideas.
He's like, but I'm the mail boy. I just do the mail stuff. And I have
And I have a gluten intolerance.
someone watches me do the mail stuff.
They just gave it to a goat.
So second thing we're here to deal with and really figure this thing out. Ray has a
Apartheid.
podcast. That would have been a good subject for your podcast.
Ooh, that would have been rough.
Week 3.
Apartheid.
Yeah. No, Ray has his own podcast, finally.
That's
after
true.
Years
It is true.
Of
Cajoling.
juggling ideas and mixing and mashing his thoughts like a painter, like a Picasso on a paint thing, a palette. He's been trying to figure out the perfect pod, and Ray's here.
To
provide us.
And at some point I said, forget it. I'm just feeding a fed horse here.
Yes.
I'm just gonna start this thing and do it. You gotta take the fucking bull by the hand.
I love it. You at a PETA event,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Listen, you don't have any animal phrases." in
No,
here."
and then midway through my act, I'm like, you gotta take the bull by the by the hand.
By the horn section of the ska band he's in.
You know, you gotta measure the fruit by the foot. But no, yeah, I do. I started a podcast, and it's very apropos because Chuck. So the first 2 episodes come out. When does this come out?
This comes out
The 18th or 19th.
it's
Or, I'm sorry.
Thursday
it's,
the 18th,
Yeah.
which is next Thursday.
Oh, okay. So the podcast is already out then.
Yeah, the podcast just came out.
Last week.
Just started the week of
The 10th.
The 10th.
The
Yeah,
10th,
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Veterans Eve, as I like to call it.
ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So
That sounds like a threat more than
Yes,
anything else.
yes.
it's called Ray Harrington Must Content.
That's the name of the
because
podcast,
I was feeling a lot of pressure to do it, and I wanted to do it in a way that was fun and interesting to me, keep me interested, right?
Right.
And so this was the thing. And yeah, the first 2 episodes that come out will be Kyle Kinane, stand-up comedian, very funny, love that guy, and then Chuck Staten.
That's right.
Those first 2 episodes.
First 2.
And Brad Rohr
Coming soon.
scheduled to do a fun Christmassy episode. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You're getting down to your swimsuit weight, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's going to be off the off the chain is okay.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean,
yeah.
unless the animal is kept on a chain,
Right.
But then the
Yeah.
animal's off the chain,
So it's
and so it's a
positive.
good thing.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
positive
It's going to be
thing.
off the chain.
Right.
It's going to be off the hook. A fish gets off of the hook.
Yes.
Oh,
But
good.
the
Yeah.
worm is still on it.
Oh no! Oh,
stop.
no! It's artificial bait. Don't worry.
What did they have one for the early bird gets the worm?
I thought they did, but I didn't see it on their
The
page
whirly
there.
bird gets the germ.
The
What?
whirly bird is just anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had 5 minutes to come up with this list. That's why it's what it is.
What if it's the early bird does the worm?
It was. It may have been something like.
Do we think it's okay when animals dance?
We'll send it up to the 4th floor.
The early bird it turns off the alarm. Like that's how dumb these are.
Yeah.
I like whirly bird though. 'Cause
Yeah.
Brad's dad calls helicopters whirly birds. He
does.
I love that. So yeah, Ray's been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. He used to have a podcast called With Ray and Derek.
Correct.
We aired their Christmas special one year on the Chuck and Brad podcast feed.
Truth.
And for the past few years, Ray's been coming on a lot. I think you've been on like 25 to 30 times. And you've been talking about what kind of podcast you want to do and jumping through the hurdles of I don't want to be stuck in a specific place that's too limiting. I want to have an open forum. And you finally bit the bullet, man. I'm proud of you. That's
and
great.
as we talked about before, it's a different beast. Can you say that?
Yeah.
It's a different yeast.
Yes.
You can't even
Yeah,
mention
because when you're
it's
baking,
a yeast of a different color.
yeah.
Oh, you know what though? Listen to yeast. Isn't it alive? Isn't
sort
it
of
a
alive. It's sort of
unicellular?
alive.
Yeah.
The reeds.
But I will say, like, it is a different thing having a podcast without a partner, right? Without
Sure.
like, because you guys, it's Chuck and Brad and Chuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm like, I like a crazy thing. And
Chad
Brad's
and
like, I
Buck.
don't like that thing. And then everyone's
Right.
like, that's them. That's them.
But you have a running history, and you
Right.
guys can do goofs and stuff like that. And to have a podcast where it's just me and then a guest, I can't be like, because the running joke is this, and they'd be like, "What? Wait, why did you just talk about?" birds?"
Remember the PETA list?
Yeah. That's a different podcast. Yeah.
That's not even your podcast.
But yeah, so I'm excited. Again, it's called Ray Harrington Must Content.
Yes.
Sorry to plug up front.
Yes.
But I hope if you like this podcast that you're listening to right now, there's a good chance
Yeah.
that you'd like this other podcast.
Yeah, I think your third episode will be up by this time as well.
And that is
a buddy of the Chuck and Brad podcast.
Satan.
Yes. Our third.
And you know what? I think I had a real confrontational gotcha kind of thing. I think in the annals of podcasting, it'll go Mark Maron and oh God, I just drew a blank on his name.
Rogan.
No, Mark Maron when he
Dane Cook.
interviewed
Louis.
No, the Hammer, Sledge-O-Matic.
Oh
Gallagher.
Gallagher.
Yeah.
So the infamous Gallagher episode with Mark Maron when he walked off, and then me interviewing Satan,
Lucifer, right?
Yeah, the devil.
Yeah. I love the devil. I love the devil as a character. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to overuse it, so I try not to throw it in a lot of stuff that we write. But I love the character of the devil.
I was thinking about this the other day, ironically. The devil is fun because the devil, depending on who you talk to, is either just like, he wants, either the devil is like Rosemary's Baby, like this really scary, terrifying thing, like The Omen, like, oh my God, the devil. And like the idea of even just being remotely near him is terrifying, right? But then there's the other version of the devil where it's like, oh dang, I lost my fiddle.
Yeah.
Right? Like the devil's supposed to be this ominous, terrifying thing, but also he'll be like, I'll challenge you to a fucking fiddle off, you know? And then he loses.
Yeah.
He
Well,
fucking
I'll say
loses.
one of the things I considered talking about with Ray on Ray Harrington Must Content is the idea of the devil's depiction through the ages, because in the Middle Ages he was like kind of a clumsy jokester.
He's a trickster.
Really?
And you know, now it's like Young Goodman Brown, where it's like, it smells of brimstone and he tricked me out of my creel of fish. And
I think
or,
we have
you
the
know,
Puritans to thank for that.
or it's a handsome angel who, like, you know, like that's the one on TV. He's handsome and he gets people to do bad things. And you know,
two should.
we do
at our Halloween show. The way that we introed Ray is okay. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, you can't have Halloween without three people: Michael Myers, the devil himself, or Ray Harrington. And before you guess who we got, you might have seen him on Conan. Then we go into the opening for you.
Yeah.
And then you come up and you go, and Brad goes, we couldn't get Michael Myers or Satan.
Yeah.
And I love that joke. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's fun.
It's fun stuff.
So you know, subscribe and whatnot.
Ray Harrington Must
I
Content.
will absolutely have a conversation about
The
El
idea-
Diablo with you.
The
that would be fun.
The devil through the years.
He sounds
like the
me.
idea.
He sounds like me in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Does he like me?
There are aspects. You have devil aspects.
Right.
Most of my church friends see you as the devil on my shoulder.
Your fault.
You have more of the trickster kind of thing going on.
Yes. Well, he's like the standout, the handsome one, the one who does things his own way.
What?
Right.
You just said that.
Oh no, you just have you have a massive ego. Is what you're thinking.
He
of.
does things his
Well,
own
I mean,
way.
to be fair, like in the Judeo-Christian tradition, Satan had a big ego.
Sure,
So,
pride.
But was it as
Pride
big as
goeth
Chuck's?
before the rise, right?
No,
That's how
no.
Easy, PETA.
Hold on, I was reading the PETA.
But we will totally talk about
That's
that
great.
for sure.
Yeah, right around
that's
Easter,
funny.
maybe.
Yeah, and then we'll do another episode where we just talk shit about Chuck. I think that's a good plan.
I think that
You
highest
guys, you know
rated
what you do?
episode.
You should talk
Pages.
shit, and then people have to vote on whether you're talking shit about me or
the devil.
Yeah, no one knows.
I like that. Yeah.
Remember when he sacrificed that baby last week, and everyone's like, I know this one.
Yes.
C-H-U. But yeah, so
You ain't got no alibi.
I like that.
So dumb.
No, on the PETA list.
Mark Normand is the third one, by the way.
Yeah, Mark Norman. Yeah, it took us that long.
Yeah.
Mark Norman's his third guest. So the first three guests: Kyle Kinane, Chuck Staten, Mark Norman.
All legends
Hey,
of
2
the
out of
comedy
3 ain't
world.
bad.
Yeah, pretty
you know?
good. 3 Satans. And I like that.
Yeah, I would go see that live show
For sure.
3 Satans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll say
good.
if Kyle Kinane and Chuck Staten and Mark Norman like showed up on a slot machine, like, you know, that's a jackpot, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so. On the Ray Harrington Must Content slot machine?
Yes.
I really don't think you should have invested in that after only 3 episodes.
Well,
but
listen, I'm trying to get out ahead of this.
what haven't podcasts done?
Slot
Give them a
machines,
Slot
slot
machines.
machines.
Please buy one. There's 6,000.
Yes.
If you think that's bad,
But we.
I also ordered 4,000 like anti-gravity paperweight things
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it just floats.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Bad idea
Bad
to get a paperweight that has no gravity
Yes.
with it.
Well, you know, it's like a thing, and you put it down, and it's got magnets in it,
Yep.
and you have to put batteries in it to have the electromagnet work, and then the thing floats on top of it.
Yes.
And then it's just a logo of my podcast, and I don't have a logo, so I
Right.
just use
tough.
I just use Land O'Lakes, but I put my face on it.
Oh no.
And
I'm in
everybody knows
trouble.
those aren't my knees.
You press a button and it speaks, and it's like, am I going to get in trouble for this? So that's great, man. I'm glad you finally started it. We talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
I listened to the Mark Norman episode. I can't wait to listen to the Kyle Kinane episode. Great stuff. Very fun. We had a great time talking about what we talked about. Very fun time.
I'll say I'm also excited to listen to the Kyle Kinane and Mark Norman episodes.
No. The one with Chuck has like content in it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It has like it's about a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not about Chuck.
Is there a filter I can get for my headphones that would like
Ooh.
take Chuck out of it and I just hear your half of the conversation?
I can try.
All right, that'd be great.
You know what? I'll re-edit it and I'll send you one file.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Just the left ear.
yes.
The Chuck free episode.
Yes.
So
I love
go
this
check
guy.
it
I
out.
just have trouble following what he's saying.
He seems crazy. Good stuff. Glad you're doing it.
Thank you.
A lot of fun stuff to be had. And I think we're going to do, like you said we're going to, me and Brad will come on here and there. There'll be
Yeah.
some people who are on repeated guests. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the two of you are definitely in that like group of regulars that I
Yeah.
have in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
To play with. So there's like regular interviewee things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Mark, I wanted to, spoiler alert, I didn't know he was from New Orleans until
Yes.
like the day of.
Right.
So it was about that, and it was really, really funny.
Yeah.
Kyle was more of like a comedy kind of thing, and I really don't want it to be a stand-up comedian talking about stand-up comedy podcast.
Right.
So there'll be interviews with stuff like that, and then I'm reaching out to different people, makers of different things, filmmakers, comedians, stuff like that, actors, whatever, and then having my friends on
Yep.
to talk about fun things and weird shit
Yes.
and delightful stuff. How long has this plug been? Let's do Ghostbusters.
Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I mean, I just get the apartment in Staten Island. Ray's going to come down. We'll do some stuff. Brad's going to come down. We'll do stuff. I'll be back up here. So we'll all be doing stuff together. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really
Yeah.
excited for this. Proud of you, bud. Good stuff.
I don't like that you said that.
I'm proud of you, little guy.
Don't. Ugh,
Proud of you,
ugh.
little baby.
Ew. Ew. Why are you taking your pants off?
I'm proud of you, little baby.
I was going to say, win or lose, we're going to Dairy Queen after the podcast drops.
You please don't say that. Please don't say that.
You don't like
That's
peanut
funny.
butter
Don't say
parfaits?
Dairy Queen.
Oh, geez.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Not only is that about cows, but it's also about a monarchy.
Yeah.
So
And
I
that
guess,
reminds me of Monarch Butterflies.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing.
So
Gary Sween.
plant parliament.
yes.
Plant Parliament Funkadelic.
So here's what we thought we'd do today. And by the way, just to fill everybody in, holy shit, I've been running around with this move and coming back for Rhode Island Comic Con. And now I'm moving. I'm basically the first weekend I went to Staten Island, moved all my furniture, had to turn right around to get ready for Rhode Island Comic Con. We did that all weekend. We did a podcast about that. Now today is Tuesday the 9th of November. My car is packed to the gills. I got stuff.
Please don't say that.
I got stuff under my brake, which is not a
Packed
good
to
idea.
fills.
Back to the fill. And just like it's been crazy, like getting stuff back and forth. And I kind of feel like I'm still in the move.
Yeah.
I kind of at first
Well,
I was
you
like,
are, yeah.
I am. At
I
first
think
we
it's
could-
just fucked up that you had to do this because of that restraining order. I think that's insane. Because Rhode Island's so small, you're like, well, I have to move. I have to leave the state.
hold on 50 feet in any direction. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Um.
It was either that or the Cape.
Yeah. Right.
Ugh.
And so it's weird though because I guess I thought because all the furniture went, I was like, oh, I'm done. But there's nothing. I have to bring all my stuff to live. So now I'm going back there today, and right after this
bags
podcast,
of
I'm
bacon
leaving.
jerky.
What do you consider stuff to live?
It's what it is that this kind of stuff pisses me off. Like different types of shoes, where it's like, well, what if I do this?
You
What
hate
if I
different
did-
types of shoes?
Well, I hate that I'm like I need to bring
so many
four-
choices.
I gotta bring 4 different types of shoes. It's like, oh, I need tea bags for tea. I need this. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
And you can't get those in Long Island.
No, of
Staten
course
Island.
not.
Oh yeah, sorry, Staten Island. There's
I
too
know,
many
I
islands.
know.
There are a lot of islands.
Rhode Island.
Right.
You're going to
I got
Staten
some rugs.
Island.
I got all my camera equipment. I have everything.
Some rugs.
It's a lot of rugs.
A lot of rugs.
A lot of rugs.
This guy loves rugs.
I got some extension cables. Yeah, just a lot of stuff.
Can you say snug as a bug in a rug?
Snug as a
no.
bug in a
No, you
rug.
can't say
No.
that.
Snug as
Smothering.
Doug in a rug.
Snug as Doug, and it's a picture of Doug.
Yeah.
I feel like Doug's a pervert.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
He's in a rug.
He's in a rug.
Get out here.
Get
He's
himself in a
hiding.
rug.
I like to be
Hey, come
stepped on.
snug with Doug in this rug.
Come step on me.
But so I feel like kind of like just like backed up against the wall and crazy. I got lash out any minute. So
Oh,
if you
shit.
upset me.
Oh.
I just feel like giving a claw to somebody. You know what I mean?
Okay.
One single claw. I grew up my middle fingernail. But yeah, I just feel very like tight. Like I'm all like wound up because I'm like, holy shit, I have so much shit to do.
You know what you should do to make you feel good is bustin', because bustin' makes me feel good.
Thank you, Brad.
Is that
Brought
on-
it back.
Is that on there? Oh, ghosts?
Yeah.
PETA? No.
No, they're not animal ghosts.
No.
They're
All right,
ghosts
fine.
of people.
Ghost,
All dogs go to heaven. But
Hot dogs go to heaven.
so
They're okay with that one because it's so positive.
I don't know. I don't even know why I said it. That's where my like frame of mind is right now. It's just you say all dogs go to heaven. I go hot dogs go to heaven.
no, that's fun. So here's the deal: Ghostbusters is coming out, and we thought about this a while ago, or I should say, and I was like, you know, they're making another Ghostbusters. They basically made the original two. They made the cartoon series. Then they made the reboot of 2016. Was that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah.
And obviously that kind of didn't do well as didn't really tie into the first two, right?
No.
It was just its own thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that didn't do well. Now they have a new one coming out with Paul Rudd, Finn Wolfhard, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be completely honest. I think the trailers look great. I actually think they're doing a really good job. I like the idea of inheriting all the equipment, whatever. I think it's going to be good. But it's another situation where it's like someone said, Ghostbusters make money. We got to get another crack at those Ghostbusters.
Well,
you know?
it's been going on forever,
Right.
Notoriously, right? And Bill Murray is just like, I don't want to do it, and he's been like that from the beginning. And him and oh my god, nope,
Or
Reitman, Ivan Reitman, had a bit of a falling out.
Yes.
And so this didn't look like it was in the cards.
Yep.
Right.
And I'm one of the people, and I don't want to sound poo-pooey about this or anything, but I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's just the two is okay. Like, we don't have to have sequels to everything 30 years on. We don't have to do it. There's nothing that says we have to. And I understand the idea of like, well, this doesn't affect the other movies. If you don't like this one, it doesn't change the other ones. That's fine.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, well, if you're going to drag it up, if you're going to dig it all up and splay it all out and make you go and say, look at it. They're old. Look at them. They don't even look like they were the Ghostbusters. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't need to do it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm having a thing about this kind of stuff because it's become more of the norm now, where we just make these 30-year-on sequels.
Well, we talked about this at Rhode Island Comic Con, where I was like, it's weird because it almost was like we got to a time in culture where everyone was like, yeah, we can reboot everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like before that time, like that was the cutoff. And it's like, if you made a thing before this day that was popular, someone's buying it and it's coming back.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's looked at as like the world has accepted these things as good. So let's just keep making those things.
Yeah, another way to look at that is like the film industry is creatively bankrupt.
Exactly.
And they don't know what to do, so they just go bring back the hits, do it again.
It's monetarily, it's a no risk attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
As far as this movie coming out, I didn't see the latest trailer.
Neither did I.
Because I'm starting to just be like, okay, cut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see too much spoiler stuff either.
From what I've seen and from some of the stuff I've read from people that have seen it, it sounds very Stranger Things-y, right? And here's what gets me is overall not the details of this movie, but the vibe I'm getting. It feels like there's a big like heartstring nostalgia kind of pull on this, like an emotional feel, like a melancholy sweetness to it.
Right.
And what gets me about this particular, 30-year later sequel is that the original Ghostbusters movies, both of them, 1,000,000% did not have that. and had no place for it. And it wasn't like it was intentionally absent.
Yes.
The point was not to make that.
Yeah.
And it gets me to be like, let's make a melancholy thing. And it's like, no, you're confusing how you feel about the movies.
Right.
With what the movies are about. Does that make sense?
I mean,
Yes.
to play devil's advocate, Satan's advocate,
there you go.
I will say that's everything, though. Everything that is, hey, we're just going to make a thing, whether it's the original Star Wars or Ninja Turtles or anything, it's going to be devoid of nostalgia. And then nostalgia was created because people like it, and time goes by.
But I'm just saying,
and
like,
so it kind of automatically gets injected.
That's true, but like the saccharine element, right?
Oh, you're saying,
the
so you're kind of
sweetness.
saying like not even the nostalgia. You're saying
No,
more like
forget it, because that's going to be in there.
The tone of
That's
heartstrings
what I'm-
being
yeah.
pulled at all. Yeah,
Saccharine
for sure.
sweetness
For sure.
was not present in those movies. The tone of those movies did not have that. They were a little. They were more cynical.
They were
more than anything.
Yeah, wacky. And
They were wisecracky. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like that was the kind of thing. It was kind of arch and like a little raised eyebrow detachment.
Yes.
And to inject this, like Star Wars, go ahead and inject it. It was already there.
Yeah, that's
you know
true,
what I mean?
for sure.
There's plenty of other movies. Like you could have that if they redid Goonies and they had all the adult Goonie people.
Yeah.
And now their little Goonies are off doing Goonies while the big older Goonies are like, well, we did it when we were Goonies.
I thought, are Goonies the kids or is Goonie like what they would call sloth?
No, they were called the Goonies.
Like
they
sloth
were
isn't
the
like
outs-
no. We have someone to take care of the Goonie.
No, they were the Goonies. They were the
Sure?
outsiders. Yes, I 100%. I
I
swear.
thought Goonie was like maybe we could start using it.
Then why was it plural? Then it would have just been singular. We have a Goonie.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought that was I started using it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You
that's
called
weird.
me your little Goonie this weekend.
You kept
It's
fucking
weird
up.
that you like point to people in public going, look at that Goonie over there. You know,
Well,
somebody in a wheelchair. Hey, excuse me. What? Well, don't be in a wheelchair, and then you walk away. That's so weird. No, because like even something like that, there is an element in that movie that is sweet.
For sure.
That
Yeah.
there's a sweetness there.
For
You know,
sure.
it's our time down here and all that stuff, and then they save the little town and all that shit happens.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters doesn't have a lick of that.
Yeah.
There is zero in it. Even in Ghostbusters 2,
Yeah.
with a little baby to save,
Right.
they still don't do it. The closest you get is Bill Murray is like kind of charming with the baby.
Right.
But it's Bill Murray. He's charming throughout both
Right.
of them. That's
Yeah.
his deal.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me to have these trailers come out that are saccharine and they have sweetness and all this stuff, because that's how we feel
Right.
about Ghostbusters.
Right.
But that's not what Ghostbusters is. That it,
I
you know,
agree.
you know what I mean? Don't confuse how you feel about a thing with what the thing is about.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I actually think the trailer looks good. I think that if you're going to put someone current into that world, I think Paul Rudd is a pretty good choice in terms of someone that can actually fit into what that is.
I think Paul Rudd is a very safe choice. I think Paul Rudd is a great like comedic everyman
Right.
kind of thing.
Right. But
You
he's
know?
also like I feel
Yeah,
like
I think he can wisecrack. He could crack
Oh
wise.
Me too. Like
But I'm not knocking it. I think it's a smart choice. What I'm saying is like Paul Rudd's persona is very like, this is Paul Rudd, and the Paul Rudd persona is very like friendly wisecrack.
I think so
you
too.
know?
I think so too. But what I mean is like I think about the SNL cast of the time that Ghostbusters was around, and like those people versus like who you would think of as top comics now, not comics but comedians in movies.
And you were telling me earlier you wanted Jim Belushi in this movie.
No, but you think about people that you're like,
I wanted Andrew Belushi.
you're like, oh, who are comedians that are in movies, and you're like Seth Rogen, Will Ferrell, all those big comedic personalities that are so funny. But Paul Rudd is a little bit more subtle than those people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I prefer him as a lead in
Well,
something
yeah,
like
'cause
this. I
he's
think
more-
it fits into it.
Everyman.
You know
Right,
who else
yeah.
could crack wise? Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn could be a Ghostbuster. But I think Vince Vaughn's team would rewrite it. My theory was that Vince Vaughn doesn't play characters that are vulnerable. That he has to be the cool guy in most of the projects he's done.
Interesting.
Right.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that wasn't necessarily the case in Freaky. He was great.
Yeah.
and there's been probably 2 other movies that like he showed, for lack of a better term, showed ass in. I think I can say that because it's ass the body part, not ass the animal.
You're fine.
And
as long as you're not eating it, because that's consumption of flesh.
Wouldn't.
Yeah.
And everything else, he's been like the cool guy, like untouchable, unruffleable.
Unruffleable.
Yes. Yeah, you can't Ruffalo him.
Actually, Ruffalo would be a pretty good.
He'd be
Ruffalo would be a good Ghostbuster.
To me,
he would
to
be
me,
a good Egon, I think.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if we right now Paul Rudd is like the adult character.
Yeah.
But if they were like, we're having 3 Ghostbusters, Paul Rudd and Mark Ruffalo would be an awesome starting point for those new 3 Ghostbusters.
It's so difficult because those characters were. It's hard to recast this. Like, even when I said, "Oh, Ruffalo would be a good Egon," internally I was like, "Shut up!" You know what I mean? Like, to myself, because those characters, and this is where it gets difficult when like rebooty things happen.
Right.
Those characters were like almost 100%. Y'all set?
I'm good.
All right.
I got a cough drop.
Super subtle. Nobody noticed. Those characters were almost 100% who the actors
That's
were.
what I think,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, Bill Murray is Bill Murray in that movie. Dan Aykroyd is Dan Aykroyd. Ivan Reitman is Ivan Reitman.
Yep.
And even to a degree,
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, thank you, is very Ernie Hudson
Yeah.
in the fucking movie.
For
Everybody
sure.
is playing kind of who they are. And to recast that's like when people talk about rebooting Back to the Future. It's like, thankfully, the Bobs are like, no, over my dead body, literally. And when Zemeckis dies, I'm worried that they're going to swoop in and be like, let's do it, and we're going to do this thing. That scares me.
Same with Harper Lee.
Yeah.
Set of Watchmen.
Although, Harper Lee towards the end. But Michael J. Fox,
Yeah.
when people talk about doing that, it's like, well, then you're never going to get Marty McFly.
Right.
You'll get somebody like playing Marty McFly, but it won't be that. And what I think is funny is with Back to the Future, it's measurable.
Yeah.
It's not subjective, it is objective.
Right.
They had another Marty.
Right.
They started with another Marty.
Right.
And it didn't work. And then they were like, we got to restart all of it.
Yeah.
And they did.
No, I agree with you, and it's gonna come down to what is the new movie. None of us have seen it, obviously, so we gotta give it a fair chance.
My only point I wanted to make, I don't know about the quality of the movie itself.
Right.
I'm sure there will be stuff I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Right. Yeah.
And then there'll be stuff where I roll my eyes. My main point I wanted to make was about that idea of that sweetness being injected into it, not existing in the original. That's
Right.
it. That's
I
all
hear
I
you.
wanted to say.
I hear you, and I have an unpopular opinion about the original.
So I'll take it.
So here's an interesting thing.
You said there were not enough white people in it. That's messed
You
up.
said
Chuck.
Ernie
I didn't say
Hudson
not
got
enough
too
white
much-
people. I said there was too many
Yes.
marshmallow men.
Yeah.
And
What a weird word.
So it's funny. I love a lot of 80s stuff. I was born in 1984. I love the Ninja Turtles. I love Cyndi Lauper and the Chipmunks, all the stuff. Alf. I never felt connected.
Jesus, there was one real person in that list, and how would Cyndi Lauper feel right now? you listed Turtles, Chipmunks,
I love
Alf,
all the
and
abominations.
Cyndi Lauper.
Well, what else is there for 84? I don't know. Saved by the Bell. I never watched it.
What?
No.
I don't
Not
know.
even close.
Well, I was
No.
5 in 89. How about that?
All right.
There you go. I mean, it's just weird when you're born in 84. You're 10 years old in 1994. So
Yes,
that's your
good-
childhood
good math.
decade.
Sure,
you know
sure,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So to me, like Jurassic Park fits into my childhood.
Yeah. But
Gremlins.
you're still watching VHS tapes of stuff that
Sure.
is still new enough. If it came out 5 years ago,
Right.
it's brand new to you, and everybody else is
It's
still
still
very
watchable.
aware of it. Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I never felt connected to certain things. One of them, Transformers, I never felt connected to. G.I. Joe.
Your parents.
Ghostbusters, I kind of never really felt connected to.
Yeah.
My mom says that I watched it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where my brother's first words were Statue of Liberty, which is true from the second one. But I don't remember watching it. I don't remember caring about Ghostbusters. I don't remember watching the TV show. I just never had that in me. But almost like I wish I did. I wish I cared more about Ghostbusters.
Sure.
And so over the years, I've been, wanting to be more like open and like it. I just watched Ghostbusters again, the first one, like yesterday, in preparation for this podcast. I think it's fine. It's fine to watch. But it's fine to watch. Here's what I think, though. Ghostbusters is a very hastily thrown together movie in terms of plot, where it's almost like they said, we're going to have this scene, we're going to have this scene, this is going to be cool, and they planned out these special effects, and they planned out these moments. But, like, the movie just kind of moves along without much of an explanation of anything. Like, here's what's weird. The movie starts. There's a ghost in the library. You know what I mean? Right at the beginning of the first movie. Then they're like, oh, ghost in the library. They're like, wow, ectoplasm. I can't believe this. There's this goo. So is it the first time they've seen a ghost? Or do they see ghosts all the time? And if it's the first time, where did this ghost come from? That's my first question.
The library, Chuck.
Then they go to their college, and they're like, "You guys you're fired from the college."
Yeah.
And he goes like, "How come?" And he goes, "Your scientific results are dubious. He's like,"
Yeah.
and they go, "That's fair." And they leave. Then they start their own thing, and then there's a million ghosts.
Yeah, it's explained in the end of the movie.
Well, they said that one building is like a conductor for spirits.
No, the return of Gozer.
Yes.
Right? Is it that's second movie. The name of the
I thought Gozer was in the first one.
Yeah, it is Gozer. Yeah, sorry. The return of Gozer was like prophesied or whatever, all that stuff. So
that's what I thought too, but I was watching it and waiting for something like that, but they didn't really say that. They said this building is like a conductor for spirits.
Because he's coming back, it's amping up all of the events that are happening.
That's how I
and
feel.
that's why it's happening. Yeah,
that's what I thought too. But there's nothing in the movie that says that. I don't think. I mean,
there
I just
is.
watched it.
Yeah,
I don't think there is.
Can I tell you my quick experience? It could just to give you a sense of where I'm coming from. That's it.
Sure.
I'm not trying to cut you off.
By the way, I'm not like. Therefore, I don't like this movie because I think that does work a lot of times. And if I saw it at the right age or whatever, I think I would have been pulled in. But watching it now, it just seems weird. And let me just say this, and then we'll go to your thing. Another part that's weird is like at the end, they're like you can't cross the streams, you can't cross the streams, and they're like, let's cross the streams, which is already weird because they're already aiming them at the same thing all throughout the movie.
Sure.
They're like, let's do it. There's no drama. They go, let's do it. They do it. Then they're all covered in marshmallow. And then Winston goes, I love this city. And it goes, Boston makes me feel good. And it ends.
I mean,
and you're like, what the fuck was that?
It's a little reductive. But,
but that's what happens. And he seriously goes, I love this city.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with anything.
Sure.
It's not even like, in Spider-Man where all the cranes
helped
him get to the bad guy.
Yeah.
Then you could say, I love this city.
You went with an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man?
I'm just saying that makes sense because the city comes together. I guess they come together in one of the
Spider-Man
All of
2.
them?
It's just a kid.
Yeah.
But nothing happens in this one. It goes, I love this city. The theme song plays and the movie's done.
Yeah.
And it's a very quick, very strange ending.
Yeah.
What you watched right at that moment was an 80s movie. Like the end of an 80s movie like that is just like we were just talking about Goonies. Goonies ends where they come out of the
I also
the cave.
think Goonies is not that great.
Right. But it's the 80s. That's what happened. You know what I mean? Like these movies.
No pen, no paper, no sign, no sign, no sign.
It's just these movies are just like, and here's the conclusion of like the conflict that we've been focused on.
Yes.
We don't get epilogue. We don't.
Yeah, there's no falling action.
Yeah, and now
There's
in
no
movies,
conclusionary moments.
well, in movies now, what we expect is after they stop the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and they send Gozer back and everybody's cool and everything's fine.
Yeah.
And they get Dana out of the fucking, and Louis Tully, they get him out of the statues, right? Which you skipped that part. But we would expect now that we would see days, weeks, months later,
Right.
and see where people are and what they're doing.
No, I don't need that.
No, I'm not kidding. That's what happens in movies now.
right.
Even I'm not saying like 20 minutes of it, but like 5 minutes of this stuff,
Right.
and then like a little hint. Always
like,
mandated.
is this gonna happen again?
There has to be a hint of you didn't stop me. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Where they wink at the camera and they're like, these guys are gonna love me. You know what I mean? Some stupid shit.
Yeah.
But that's what we expect. But so from my experience with this,
Yeah.
I watched the movies when I was a kid. I didn't immediately like, wow, love these things. I watched the cartoon, and the cartoon is what drew me in.
Yes,
and I had a
me as
couple
well.
of the figures and stuff like that. And you know, I always enjoyed them, and then I rewatched them when I was older and got a better sense of it, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, yeah. This is very funny,
Yes.
right? And then cut to the past couple of years, my son has watched these movies, and I think he's watched it for the first time. God, I can't remember if he was like late 5 or early 6, but young, very young, And I was shocked that he instantly loved Ghostbusters.
Wow.
Like from the first one. He was scared of the library ghost. I think every kid was.
Yep.
But as soon as that was over, he clicked in with this thing so much in such a big way that I was really shocked. And I had to think about what it was that did it. And I realized my theory is that for a small child, they see it and they go, oh, okay, these are ghosts and scary goblin things that I'm afraid of as a child.
Yes.
And here are these adults that are dressed and appear and have the job that is what I can relate to is a firefighter.
Right.
And I know firefighters because I'm a 5 or 6 year old child and literally think there are 4 jobs in the world. And one of them is firefighter.
Right.
And I know it. And they live in a firehouse and they have a special car with sirens, which means they are in charge and they know what they're doing. And they have a cool tool that gets rid of the bad, scary thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why kids love it. And then as you get older, you find out it's a funny thing. To your point about, so that's where I'm coming from with it.
Right, sure.
And then, you know, reading more about it, finding out more about it. And then my producing partner, Lee Leshin, he's
a ghost.
He's a ghost. He produced a documentary about the fandom of Ghostbusters.
Right.
So he knows so much about Ghostbusters. But just some of the facts of like the original script, way different. Way different. Dan Aykroyd wrote the original script and it was bananas, right?
Yeah.
And then it got pared down and Ivan Reitman worked with him on it and they created this script. And originally, they had a very different thing. John Belushi was supposed to be the Bill Murray character, which is wild. And then he passed away when they were working on the script still.
Right.
And then Bill Murray finally came in on this thing, and it was a very personal thing, I think, for Dan Aykroyd, because who knew? He's a fucking batshit crazy guy who believes in aliens and ghosts and whatnot. And the movie is one of those beautiful things where you take one person's like really out there idea, and then you have another guy who's really, really smart, really funny, and capable, and much drier and less wild, wacky. Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
And you put those together and then you put them in that, like, this movie was, in terms of, budget and stuff like that, it was close to indie-ish, very low, very, very low budget. These guys were like shilling for film buyers. Right. They had like a whole video sequence that they had to put out, like dressed up as the Ghostbusters in front of the car, basically being like, please buy this movie to show in your movie theaters. And they were doing that kind of stuff. So hastily put together, I don't know. Yeah. Choppily put together. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And that's more to do with budget and timing. I mean, Bill Murray was late to production.
I think that too. I mean, I think about movies that are kind of similar in terms of production. I bet Tommy Boy is probably similar in production.
Sure, yeah.
And it's interesting to be like, oh yeah, Dan Aykroyd and Egon, who is Ivan Reitman. They don't really have characters outside of just we're guys that are here. Like Egon is like, they're like, what do you collect? And he's like spores and fungus, whatever. He doesn't have any sort of arc. He doesn't have things that change. Dan Aykroyd doesn't have anything that changes.
No, they don't. It's not a like these guys. Again, this is where that cynicism comes in. The more sarcastic approach to the movie, and that's why I was saying like the schmaltziness. It doesn't exist in this movie. Right. These guys don't have arc. The whole thing is it's a comedy.
They barely have characters though. Like, what is Dan Aykroyd's? Give me a character trait of him. And it's like, I don't know.
He likes getting a blowjob by a ghost.
Well, who among us?
Yeah, right. But no, my thing is like, yeah, they aren't supposed to really have character, right? Yeah, especially of that time. This is pre a lot of what comedy movies became. Sure. This is in an awkward middle period. And the whole gist of this movie is just, hey, you know, pest control guys?
Yeah, here's an idea.
Here's ghost.
Here's a twist.
These guys do it with ghosts.
Well, that's
and really the comedy is, this is what I like about it. At the end of the day, it's ultimately a comedy about these guys setting out to start a small business, right? Like that's what it is. And it's like, yeah, what if janitors or plumbers were catching ghosts, which again was not the Dan Aykroyd script. So I think what you're seeing is a lot of the half form idea being molded into the story, you know?
Well, I think that one of the things that I love about that period of film, which goes through Goonies and Gremlins and a lot of stuff, is that, and Back to the Future, is that, well, this isn't exactly this genre movie. This is a story that touches on these 4 genres.
Right.
And we're going to go in all these directions and kind of, we're just going to make a fun world to play in. And the concept is a little bit more important than the story. I
agree with your message. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with everything except you put Back to the Future in that.
Well, what I mean by that is that Back to the Future is not a drama, it's not a comedy, it's not an action movie.
Yeah. It's but what I will say about that movie compared to Ghostbusters or Goonies or anything.
Yeah.
But my point is that movie is one of the most tightly scripted
That's what I think too.
in the world.
No, I don't.
It
I'm not comparing it.
Tightly written.
I'm not
and the
comparing
direction is amazing.
Sorry, I'm not comparing it to the idea of the lack of character development.
No, sure.
Yeah, I'm only saying in terms of Gremlins, Goonies, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, all G's except for that last one. The idea of like, well, genre is not important.
We're
just going to make a story, and whatever genres it touches, cool.
Sure.
You know?
I totally agree. But legitimately, because I just rewatched Back to the Future last night with my son, and he saw it for the first time, and I'm so happy because it's my favorite movie ever, right?
Yeah.
And I was rewatching it for the millionth time, and this time I was paying attention to exposition because my son is watching it, and he's 7, so he doesn't get a lot of the time travel stuff. Like we had to pause it at one point so he could understand why the siblings were disappearing from the picture. And I was trying to explain like the actions now, you know, and blah, blah, blah. So I was watching the exposition stuff. That movie is a fucking masterclass in exposition dumps.
Exactly.
Think about it. You're doing a sci-fi time travel story involving a very specific oopsie. And in order to explain all of that, most movies, not only is it amazing and a masterclass for the dialogue explaining that stuff and showing different little examples to give you that understanding as they go along, and also like how to get around saying a thing is amazing. But then you look at like how they block a scene. So most other movies, the exposition dump of Doc Brown like explaining to Marty why this is a problem. They would be sitting or standing or doing whatever, and they would just do A-B shots over the shoulder, like Doc, Marty, Doc, Marty, Doc, Marty, right? The camera is still for so long in that, and the characters are moving, and literally moving from the front to the back of the shot, back to the front, and it's wild. It's so tight. It's a fucking ballet, and I can't get over it. Sorry, I'm gushing about a movie that we're not doing right now.
I think that's one of the reasons that Back to the Future works so well, is that you have this thing that the whole story could be a little bit like it could lose the audience a little bit because of how much you have to kind of pay attention. But then you get someone like Christopher Lloyd as the person explaining it. And you get someone like Michael J. Fox as the person who's emotionally connected to what's happening.
And in the scripting, to dole out little pieces of like allegorical information, parallels, like, hey, here's this little detail of what happened so you can understand it's the same for this bigger issue, you know. So much, even little shit. Like last night, it blew my fucking mind, and I annoyed my wife about it today. There's a scene where they are in George McFly's backyard, and boys, at some point this episode's going to be about Ghostbusters. They are in George McFly's backyard, and Marty is outlining to George the plan
Daddy,
that he's gonna, that he's going to, force himself on Lorraine. So then George can come along and say, "You get your damn hands off her."
Should I swear?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes, George, you should swear, man. It's a wonder I was even born. What?
Yep.
Nothing. So he's explaining that to him. George is hanging up laundry
Right.
on the line. And there's a fun backstory about how Crispin Glover refused to just stand at his mark. I know. And he was like, well, I feel like George would move around here. And they wanted to strangle him to death. Yeah. So much of the crew just hated Crispin. Anyway, so he's hanging up laundry. And the ballet is happening because the shot is pretty much static.
Yeah.
And the two of them are having their conversation. So much of that movie that you don't realize is like a character just walking right up to the lens and looking basically out at the audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Marty's doing that throughout. George is putting up stuff on the line, and when it gets to Marty saying, you know, I'm gonna be a jerk. I'm gonna do what women hate and blah blah blah. George is now holding what I'm assuming is his mother's bra from the laundry and about to hang it up, and he sticks it out and he goes, "You mean you're gonna touch her on her?" And then they move on.
And he takes it. Well, he takes it and he folds it up. He puts it back in.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fucking tiny atomic level details in that movie are so amazing. I can't get over. I will gush about that movie till the day I die.
For sure. I mean, I think that's one of those magic things where they found, and it's funny because there's a lot of stuff in Back to the Future that you would question in a different movie of like, well, why is this older scientist friends with this high school guy?
Sure.
All this different stuff.
Because the sex is great, dude.
And I think when you make a movie,
it's very good at best.
I think when you make a movie that's really good and engaging, you get to say, no, we get to jump over some stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, which is cool, which is really cool.
Well, that happens when like incredibly capable people are behind the wheel in every regard.
Exactly.
You do get to have enough momentum to jump over an odd thing or two, right?
Right. Which is needed for
good.
a time travel comedy.
Yeah. Right. Ghostbusters, I think it's different. It's a different type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult because at this time, like the idea of a comedy horror was like Abbott and Costello.
Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, shit like that. And for them to do this.
By the way, one of the cut bits from the Halloween show, remember we were doing the put us in the pictures?
Yeah.
Where it was we were taking all myself, Brad, and Ray and putting us in old horror movies was Chuck and Brad versus Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
I like that. I do like that. Yeah. But yeah, I think that, you know, it was doing something that wasn't around at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think part of the charm is its shakiness.
For sure.
It's a little janky, but it's supposed to be. And
Yeah.
so I like that a
agree.
lot.
Ernie Hudson shows up like 2/3 of the way
Hell
through the movie.
yeah. And he's like, by the
yeah.
way, I'm a Ghostbuster. And they're
I
like,
know.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I know.
janky. It is a janky fucking movie.
It feels like a movie that's made with love in that way.
Yeah.
That's part of what you...
Because it was a passion project.
Right.
Yeah. How long are we...
We're getting
This is
ready.
so
We're getting
long.
ready for our next segment. I
No,
think.
we're good. We're good for good for our main segment, which
Yeah.
is Pitch
Oh, okay.
Doctors.
All right.
That's all we're gonna do. I mean, we're not gonna go.
I
super
forget that it's like 4-hour episodes.
No,
with you
it's
guys.
not. It's not. It's not. We're not even an hour yet. So we talked about Ghostbusters. We said it'd be fun. You know, the way the world is, if a thing was successful, it's coming back.
Oh shit! I forgot. I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
I'm so sorry. Ghostbusters 2,
Yes.
Aykroyd's original script,
Yes.
double bananas. Okay.
Yeah, I bet.
It had to do with fairies from Scotland. No joke. Now we're getting into fantasy.
Yep.
Fairies from Scotland kidnap Dana, and they find a tunnel in New York that goes all the way to Scotland
it's a long
to get her
tunnel.
and save her.
Yep.
Like that's what the gist of it was. I can totally see why they were like, let's not do that. And then obviously, you know, and famously, like they're not happy with Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real Kids in the Hall doing Brain Candy. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that. I love Brain Candy. I
haven't
don't
watched
care that they hate it.
I haven't seen Brain Candy.
Oh, it's fun.
I gotta watch it.
It's a cavalcade of characters.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Did I just say that?
Yes, you did.
Fuck.
Hold on, check the beta list.
Yeah.
You're okay. You're okay.
Cavalcades famously were about slaughtering pigs.
So we
It's
said
just a really big stockade.
we know that someone, no matter what, if a property exists,
It's a Henry Cavill stockade.
Yes.
they're gonna say someone's gonna make a new one. Someone's gonna
I
make a
know.
new blank, no matter what it is, if it was
Yeah.
popular.
Blank Man, right?
And so we
That's a movie that will never get remade. That movie, oh my God. Can you believe that we
I don't
all
think I've
watched?
seen it. I haven't seen it.
I was a kid and like, I don't know, maybe
definitely
it was,
watched it. I have it on VHS.
I would
maybe
watch
it was
it. I
like
like
the
Damon
neighborhood
Wayans.
that I was in, but like the kids in my neighborhood, we fucking loved it because we were watching in living color.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it's him. He's playing what is essentially a mentally handicapped man.
Yeah.
Not even essentially,
a
literally.
goonie. Let's just say a goonie.
A literal goon. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it was his less offensive of the differently abled people that he played.
That's fair.
Yes.
That is fair. Oh, the 90s.
Yes.
All right. So the idea was, what if each one of us separately was in charge of a Ghostbusters reboot, sequel, could be anything, a new Ghostbusters
And you can't
project.
just shut it down and burn the building.
Yes, you have to do it. So Brad, Ray, and myself each came up with our own pitch for a new Ghostbusters 2021 movie. And we're going to go through them. It's Pitch Doctors, Ghostbusters. What do you got, Brad?
All right.
I need to know.
We see the ending of Ghostbusters 2, the famous Statue of Liberty scene.
So yours is a sequel.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so, yes, mine exists in the world.
Okay.
Yours is a squeakquel. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Right.
We then see a montage through the years of the Ghostbusters franchise spreading around the country. There's Ghostbusting groups in Chicago, LA. We move through the 90s. You know, they're wearing funny hats, whatever. Something maybe something about the 2000 election in Florida.
Starter jackets.
Magazine covers. Media appearances, just different groups of ghost-busting teams all around the country.
Okay.
And through kind of this montage, we learned that it's become a public service, like a firefighter.
Correct.
And it's just provided to different towns. But they have become just as important as fire departments. We see footage of volunteer ghost-busting groups in smaller towns. Maybe a Steve Jobs-like figure provides a green containment unit, like, you know, an
Like
eye
eco-friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. All through the years, all cool, fancy stuff. And whether or not you notice, every single success story profiled in the media montage is full of white people. Title: Ghostbusters 3. We are not the right people to write this movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh no, now but I can hear all of like the chuds on Twitter going like, it's wokebusters.
Oh, well,
Damn wokebusters.
it's going to be. We open on inner city.
Slimer a girl.
We open on.
Made Slimer Puerto Rican.
How do you know? He had chorizo instead of hot dog.
He's leading the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Chorizos go to heaven.
Did you see this? Do you see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man leading the gay pride parade? It's fucking ridiculous. We all knew it with that little hat, but come on.
With that little hat.
He's no sailor. He's too sticky to be on a ship.
We open on inner city Atlanta. Three black men and one white man are the Ghostbusters for an inner city neighborhood.
Oh, you've
Flipped
reversed it.
Yeah.
They are city sponsored, but the city keeps cutting their funding to divert the funding to more upscale neighborhoods.
Ooh.
Their station is barely holding it together, and their substandard equipment leads to them failing to capture a ghost in an early scene.
It'd be funny if you had the upscale neighborhood
Yeah.
had their own the apparition removers or like something like Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
but
it's
higher.
fancy, yeah.
That would be funny.
And it's like run by the dad. Like there's a rich
Yeah.
ooh, there's a car dealership guy who sponsors their thing. And
Let's
patches all
not
over.
get ahead of me, Ray.
Sorry.
That's all right.
If this ends in a canoe race to save the Ghostbusters,
A nearby neighborhood, the wealthy white neighborhood, has to swoop in and save it. The white group takes all the credit. We get an emotional scene between the lead Ghostbuster John with his wife. She asks him if they hate you so much, why are you doing it? And he says, I just want to keep my kids safe. I just want to serve my city. I love this city. Ghostbusting is the way I can serve this city.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like, you should be a cop. He's like, I don't want to be a cop. Whatever.
busting makes me feel good.
Right. Basically, yeah.
Yes,
And
there you go.
basically, I want to serve this community because no one else will. Okay. Then back at the station, the nerdy Ghostbuster, let's just call him Nerdly, is developing a new ectometer.
Is he the white one?
No.
Okay.
It's a new ectometer because I forgot the PKE meter when I was writing it, and I'm like, ectometer, it measures ectoplasm. I didn't remember PKE meter until we were talking tonight. He's testing it. He's getting weird readings, and he doesn't understand. He's like, "Oh, I'm failing, whatever." He gets bummed out. The secretary has to remind him to eat, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Our white Ghostbuster, let's call him Gooby, is the most stereotypical redneck-looking guy you've ever seen. His Ghostbusters jumpsuit is camo and hunting orange.
Oh no!
However, he's incredibly progressive, possibly gay. We don't know. He bikes to work. He's very eco-friendly. Things you would not expect, but no one finds it jarring and no one comments on it throughout the entire film.
This is fine.
Our final Ghostbuster, let's call him Jules. He's the comic relief. He's been shuffled from city job to city job to city job because he keeps making mistakes that are referenced but never explicitly shown. So maybe he worked.
Oh, that's like when I blah blah blah.
Yeah, like that. Right. And he's worked in all these different things. Fine. But he loves busting ghosts. Busting makes him feel good as well. So they're underfunded. The city has hired a consulting firm to help, these Ghostbusters specifically right the ship. We later learned the money spent on this consulting firm could have been used to fund the station, but the consulting firm is mostly white and maybe like the son of the mayor or something like that. Like it's
and
clearly
a privilege.
Yeah. Clearly comes and it's not another action sequence I haven't figured out. I got it. For some reason, maybe John's kid has a field trip. They are at a Native American preservation site outside of the city.
Oh yeah.
And native ghosts come out and they attack and it's chaos. John saves the day.
Right.
He protects everyone, holds the ghosts at bay, protects everyone, not just the kids from his son's school, all the kids there.
Yeah.
As before, the Apparition Removal Society.
Yeah, the Apparition Removal Society is funny.
Shows up, and they blast the ghosts in a different way.
Yeah.
And John's like, "Oh, that's weird. I didn't see like a containment unit. Like I didn't see the traps."
Mm-hmm.
So they get back, and John is mentioned like in the maybe on the news or whatever. They get back, they throw him a little mock celebration, like a form letter from the mayor that misspells John's name, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nerdly is watching footage from the attack and notices something odd. The native ghosts are only attacking white adults, maybe even specific white adults. These guys go on a call to deal with the ghost in like a sewer. Nerdly and Jules walk off following the readings from Nerdly's new ectometer. John and Gooby handle the ghosts. No big D. They go looking for Nerdly and Jules, who have followed the ectometer to a locked door. They force it open. It's the basement of City Hall. And they're confused as to what's going on. I don't know. I have a transition issue here that I haven't figured out. Nerdly realizes something. The improvements made to his ectometer can sense a spirit, even when that spirit is inhabiting another person or possessing another person. That's the reason the readings have been off, is because so many people in the greater Atlanta area are possessed. Nerdly develops a test, something to expel the spirit from the host. Then they can bust the ghost once it has left the person. He convinces John and the boys to come with him to test it out. They test it on one guy who is like a racist. They expel the ghost. It's a Civil War ghost. They bust it. So they're celebrating this. They're like, this is clearly what's going on.
Yeah.
They meet another racist. They give him the little zap. Nope, he's just a racist.
Happens. Yeah,
He's
I like
just
that.
a racist.
I like that.
And they get in trouble. And maybe that's like the head of the consulting firm or something like
yeah,
that. So they
yeah.
get in trouble. Dark Night of the Soul. They disband. So they give up on busting ghosts. John is taking the test for the police academy, and you can tell he doesn't want to do it. Jules is taking another government job, and he hates it. Maybe he's at the DMV. That's what I was thinking. Nerdly is crashing on the secretary's couch. Gooby has to move in with his not at all progressive family.
There you go. Yeah.
It's bad. Somehow, the secretary says something to Nerdly about an upcoming vote of the city council to redistrict, some gerrymandering kind of racist law. Nerdly realizes that the leader of the leadership of the city is possessed by Civil War ghosts, and they all need to be busted. They develop some sort of MacGuffin device that can do it, but they obviously can't get it into City Hall because security and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right. So they need to get all the city council members to a certain location that they set up in the city. Yeah, we'll say it's a park, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is the optics of this are worrying me so far. Of here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of racists. You got to go secretly put this device that you've built in your garage under some bleachers and get them all there, right? That's also imagery of blasting a bunch of fucking racists, right? Let's all get together and shoot these racists.
That's you got to tase them first. Cut to the Native American mounds. John is walking alone and sees a spirit, and it cuts away. And that's kind of when we learn that the native ghosts are being destroyed. They're not being contained. They're being like erased.
Ah, yeah.
So really, the metaphor.
Leaning on it.
Yeah. Back in the city council is about to vote. The native ghosts enter. They charge. They herd all the racists to where they need to be. There's some drama. The MacGuffins deploy. The Civil War ghosts are exorcised and busted, and the city is safe. The epilogue, the falling action, is that John has been promoted, could have moved out of his community, didn't, stayed in the neighborhood, and the guys roll off on another call as the credits come up.
That's fun. That was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But super, number one, not a movie for Chuck, Brad, and Ray to write for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Number two,
Maybe a different Ray.
You want Danny McBride for something like that, right?
The idea of exactly how Ray described it, the idea of like take the racist,
right.
especially in Atlanta. Now that I think about it, and also like, who's gonna be like, you know what? Maybe the white people in the South are possessed by Civil War ghosts. Like, what studio is gonna think that's a good idea?
That is funny though.
Yeah,
that's a really funny idea.
Yeah, I like that.
The idea of an underfunded ghost busting unit, and then I'm like, let's just keep throwing racial politics.
No, that's
on this.
fun. I think that's really funny. I think that would totally fly, and I think that I got to be honest. You would get all the people who are
woke busters.
Well,
damn it.
No, I was gonna say you would get the people who are left leaning like us. I think the people who are right leaning might think it's kind of funny. They might still think it's funny. Like they're not gonna be mad about it, but you know what I mean. Like I think in like a fun way.
I mean,
maybe. You're very optimistic about
it depends,
the internet.
It depends on how you play it, I guess. But that's a funny concept.
The people who are going to be mad about it are going to be mad no matter what you do.
Yeah,
So may as well lean into it. And it's weird because I'm like, should they be Native American ghosts or should they be like the ghosts of slaves?
Yeah,
and like that region of the country has a lot of ghosts that would be angry. And the idea of like, I was thinking, I'm like,
that's an interesting sentence for someone to say,
right,
in the movie,
Yeah. I'm like, where would Sherman's ghost be? And the idea of, like enlisting friendly ghosts to help you beat, evil ghosts.
Yes, right. That's something that
I like that.
I'm going to play with in mine a little bit too.
All right, good.
That's fun.
That is fun. I like that. I liked it a lot. That's
woke busters. God damn it.
Yeah, that's fine. I've been called worse.
No, I'm not saying.
No, I know.
I'm being a character.
Yeah,
so
I got it.
Mine is a little bit loose, and I have a concept, and it's the opening, and then we can play with the concept. And I'm going to leave it up to you, Ray. Do you think we should do mine first or yours?
Probably mine first because it started as because yours sounds like there's some fun play in there.
Yeah.
Mine started as a comedic take to make a point. Mine started with, I'm going to do a comedy message, and then it got serious. Not serious, but like I got sucked into the writing of it.
Yeah.
And like you can hear it in the beginning. It's more like, okay, this is where we are. This is what we're doing, like similar to Brad's. And then by the end, I'm like, I'm kind of writing dialogue here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
When you say got serious, is it that Dan Aykroyd got the blowjob ghost pregnant and they're like, what do we do? Do we keep this baby?
you've seen Knocked Up, right?
Yes, I
like the idea
and you've
that
seen Ghost?
Yes.
You impregnate the blowjob ghost, and like she's invisible most of the time, so it's just your jizz like around.
And it's
slowly turning into a baby.
Dan Aykroyd's voice being like, we talked about having an abortion, but we decided it was not the right idea.
Well, we talked about it.
I couldn't do it, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, that's
to
a
save
hard
my
one.
life. Okay, so and I hope these leaning. Is it okay to put my hands and
Yeah, you're good.
arms and penis on these cords? I don't.
Yeah,
wanna
all of
rustle
those
them.
things are okay on the chords.
Okay, so like I said, it's muddy. It's a muddy script because there's.
That's what this is. Pitch Doctors.
I think there's a middle step here. I think the second act. I basically have the first act and the third act, and I think the second act reinforces enough of the message.
Yes.
So by the time we get to the end, it makes more sense. Does that make sense?
We're pitch doctors. We all have PhDs in fixing, so that's what we're doing.
Enough preamble and caveats. Let's just do it.
University of Austin.
So I have been abducted from my home.
Yes.
And guns have been pointed at my head and my family.
Oh, no.
And they
Jeez.
have said, you are sitting down and writing a Ghostbusters sequel,
Right.
even
Oh,
though you don't think it's appropriate.
I thought that was the opening
That's not-
scene.
No,
And I'm like,
that's just the hypothetical real life situation.
I'm like, it's Ray Wick. Yeah.
What's that noise? Get down on the ground. You're going to write this script.
Yeah.
And you better not make it Wokebusters. That last guy really did.
It's my ghost. My ghost coming.
Yeah, it's true. This guy was so woke, he had one woman in it. The first one had, shut up.
Yes.
All right, 2. Okay, 35 years after the events of Ghostbusters 2, so right about now,
Yep.
Peter Venkman is an author. His first book told the tales of the Ghostbusters. Then he started writing horror fiction and has become a D-list horror icon.
Ooh.
We open with him at a horror convention.
Makes sense.
Talking on his cell phone and absent-mindedly signing books. It's his agent on the phone. The books are boring and derivative, he says. The sales have been abysmal for years. His last 3 books made nothing, and he's just about out of money. It's the same story over and over, Pete. Your fans can only read the same story so many times. Bored Bill Murray face as someone dressed as one of his novel's monsters or maybe a Ghostbuster, arms outstretched with a stack of books to be signed. He deadpans as the stack of books is plopped in his lap. His cell phone beeps with another call. It's Ray. Not me.
Right.
Ghostbusters
Yep.
Ray.
Yeah.
Ray Stantz. After the death of Egon, Ray lost himself to searching through the history of the occult to bring back his friend. Winston works alongside him, worried that his boss, his friend, is losing touch with reality. To his surprise, Ray manages to resurrect the ghost of Egon, who isn't evil or anything, just off, not right, doesn't feel real. Even he says this. He seems only able to point out things from past adventures or reference things we already know, and we see this getting to him. Janine lovingly tries to help Egon reacclimate. A brief line about Louis Tully being off at an accounting conference explains away Rick Moranis, sadly. Peter returns to the firehouse and awkwardly reunites with his friends, living and dead. An offhand comment is made about losing touch with Dana years ago, somewhere around his first book tour. The gang reunited with a montage night of melancholy drinks and pizza and all the shots of characters picking up recognizable props. The next morning, as the plot starts to take shape, a powerful business executive arrives at the firehouse with an intriguing offer. It seems his business is in the midst of building a huge new project in a deserted outskirt of the city. But the project is plagued with countless ghosts and apparitions. He remembers the Ghostbusters saving New York when he was a child. He wants them to fix this, and he doesn't care how much it costs. Ghost Egon is hiding in the Ecto-1, and he and Ray share a discreet conversation that the phenomenon might be some sort of aftermath to the negative ooze that took over the city in Ghostbusters 2. Peter is, of course, drawn to the idea of being, rich.
Yes.
Without checking with his friends, he jumps at the opportunity and hurriedly overpromises the classic rich New York businessman that they'll solve his ghost problem as he's shuffled out the door. The gang look at each other for a beat. A montage of suiting up is legally required here. Buckles, wires, straps, zippers, switches being flipped, and hero shots of the proton packs. Egon explains that he's been working with Janine to make something, and he's revealed wearing a Ghostbusters suit and proton pack somehow. Hero shot of the Ghostbusters back in action. The siren blares, and the Ecto-1 speeds off into the night, probably with a line from Egon about how before he died, he was working on a new gadget on the Ecto-1, so we can see some new MacGuffin on the car.
Yes.
Merch, baby! In the car, the gang is discussing, see now, like, it's already flipped to Act 3, right? Sure. So Act 1 was basically them getting together. We understand where everybody is. They get that offer,
right? And
they would be doing research more and figuring things out, and the issues with Egon would be becoming more clear.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. Egon's fucked up. It's not right. It's wrong.
Right, yeah.
In the car, the gang is discussing the ghosts to be busted. Ray, on a beat-up laptop, explains that the tunnels the ooze had been traveling in underground all those years ago all ran through that area. That the site location is also where many of the lost underground tunnels converged, and this may be explaining the hotspot of paranormal activity. Peter is muttering something about the young executive looking familiar to him. Egon blurts out, "I collect spores, molds, and funguses." Everyone stops and looks at him. "From before, remember?" he says, but the expression on his face tells us that he's just as confused as they are. The gang arrives at the development site. A swirl of classic effects shows us that the executive wasn't kidding. Ray holds up an iPad that's been Ghostbustered with fun, janky attachments. That's the only word I could use. It's been Ghostbustered, right?
Right.
Ray holds up the iPad. The hub of activity seems to be lining up with the layout of the tunnels. They move through the site, stairs going nowhere, floors half-built, cross-sections of unfinished bits of this massive building. Ghosts seem to be flowing in and around the site. We catch a glimpse of Slimer, a quick shot of the library ghost. All the recognizable things are there. Maybe a ghost or two from any IP owned by Sony Pictures, who owns Columbia Pictures now. They're getting close. Wind whipping, Ray is shouting out paranormal information. Egon is seriously malfunctioning now. He's muttering phrases from Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Winston stays close to him. Ray yells, "There's no telling where the nexus point of this activity is in all this." We hear Venkman. "I think I found that nexus." The rest of the gang find Venkman standing behind the executive, who's at the very edge of an unfinished third floor that overlooks a hole being dug for a foundation. The pit now filled with a swirl of purples and blues and reds. The executive's shoes are barely touching the bare concrete as he floats just off the ground, as the swirl of ghosts and energy appears to be flowing from his chest. He slowly turns to face them. His eyes glow a faint light purple. He looks scared. Ray checks the readings on his Ghostbusters iPad TM. It's not the tunnels, it's him. He's the nexus. Egon nods, never breaking eye contact with the man as he says, "Let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in the New York area." They all look at him. "From before?" he says again, this time with a hint of fear. Venkman steps forward. "Hi there, floating phenomenon. Were you hoping to have a chat, or are you a straight-to-eternal suffering kind of guy?" The man speaks, but it's a deep and gravelly voice, keeping on brand with Zool and whatnot. "Your work was done." Should I do the voice? Yeah. All right. "Your work was done. You cast out the demons plaguing this city, the creatures from another realm, the energy from another plane. Now all that remains connected to that plane are your machinations. You have taken him from my world." He points. Venkman, Ray, and Winston all slowly look to where he's pointing, to Egon. Egon looks at them, startled, as he also starts to float slightly off the floor. "I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought." Egon smiles as he says this, then looks sad. The possessed executive continues, "You refuse to let him go, yet he is already gone. You force this spirit back to your world, and you will all be doomed to repeat your actions until the end of time. Forever and undying, empty of meaning, empty of life." We see the four are speechless, Venkman blinking, Winston looking to Ray, Ray's mouth moving, searching for words, Egon looking straight at the apparition. Venkman breaks the silence. "So you're saying that because our see-through friend here came back, we're doomed for all eternity? Seems a little heavy-handed. Isn't there a sliding scale for this sort of thing?" Egon cuts him off. "He's right, Peter." Egon looks at the apparition again for a beat, this time with certainty. He lets go of his proton pack's wand. That's what they call it. They call it a wand.
Yep.
And the entire pack vanishes like a wisp of smoke. He turns to Ray, who's tapping madly at his tablet. "No, we haven't checked the Aztec Book of Necromancy. We haven't checked any of the Norse mythology. We haven't touched half of Europe's occult writings on resurrection." Egon cuts him off. "I blame myself." Egon steps toward the edge of the third story. Clever allegory. The edge of the third story.
Ah.
The swirl of otherworldly light and energy below him. He turns to face the others. "I think this building should be condemned. There's serious metal fatigue in all its load-bearing members." He smiles at Ray. "Remember? From before?" He steps back off the concrete edge, and instead of falling, he floats toward the center of the tornado of energy. He looks down, then up, then back to the other three. "Fascinating," he grins. and is gone in a wisp of smoke. The apparition in the executive shudders. Swinding? What did I write here? Oh no, a winding. There we go. The apparition in the executive shudders. A winding stream of light flows from him to the others, and they begin to float. He bellows out, "This door closes." The executive slowly crumples to the floor as the wind dissipates and the swirl of light fades, and the other three drop to the ground as well. Peter slumps his proton pack off his shoulders. "Carry this up 3 flights. Never even used it." Winston rests on his elbow, sorry. "You've carried that thing up way more stairs than this." Peter rubs his shoulder. "Yeah, but that was 30 years ago." Ray, on his knees, is staring at his tablet. The readings fade to 0. "He's really gone for good this time. If he was even really back." Sirens can be heard in the distance. Flashing red and blue lights start to rise as police and fire arrive. The executive sits up, exhausted and worn out. "You guys didn't zap that thing with your backpacks? No traps? No crossing the streams? No quips? You didn't do any of it." Venkman squints and looks closer at the executive. His eyes widen. "Oscar? You're Oscar, aren't you? You're Dana's son." Ray and Winston are shocked and stare at the man. We zoom in on him. He wipes sweat from his brow. "No, man, my name is Jeff. I'm just a guy. I can be just a guy. Not everyone has to be someone from before." His eyes have a faint glimmer of purple light. "What?" Venkman asks. "What?" echoes Jeff, the executive, as he shakes his head and the light fades. He jumps to his feet and immediately grabs his phone and starts dialing. He storms off and is already yelling at his phone. "Eric, we need everyone on the call, now." The Ghostbusters are all slowly get to their feet and start walking toward the stairs. Below, police cars and fire trucks are already there, people rushing around. Venkman is dragging his proton pack behind him as he walks. Reporters rush the 3 as they reach the Ecto-1. "Are you the Ghostbusters?" one asks, shoving a mic in Venkman's face. He brushes it aside. "Not anymore," he says. The 3 pile into the Ecto-1. Ray starts the engine and reaches for the switch to turn on the sirens. Venkman gently brushes Ray's hand away. He looks to Ray and quietly shakes his head. Ray pauses and then gives a small nod in agreement, and the 3 drive off. No lights or sirens, just 3 guys doing something new. Boom.
Wow.
That was great.
It started like a joke.
Yes.
Like I wanted to do a thing where Egon comes back and all he does is the shit from all the other movies.
Yeah.
So every line of dialogue that's Egon in this is from
Ghostbusters 1.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Every line.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like, you know, it's not right. It's off. It doesn't work.
Right. I get it.
This is wrong. We should let other people be Ghostbusters.
Right.
But then it sort of started turning into like a genuine thing.
Yeah, that's fun.
And I wanted to do the fake out with Oscar to point out, like, we don't need to do the thing with sequels where, this one tiny character that was like, I was the baby that they held. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens with these fucking movies.
Of course.
I wanted to point out a similarity with yours, Brad, because originally I was thinking about it and... Oh, sorry. I thought it was going to be as loud as the last one. I thought that I don't know how to fold this thing anymore. I thought that the idea of like the franchising out was perfect. I think that's a great thing. I think the Ghostbusters 2016 movie should have just been that. That they were starting a franchise. It makes total sense. They are a service thing. You know, they're plumbers.
Right.
That makes total sense. And while I was thinking about it, while you were doing like a middle of the country kind of idea, I can't remember the name of the show. I just drew a blank again. I can't remember anything. No. Pawnee.
Yeah. Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. I think a Ghostbusters TV show exactly fitting the tone of
that's pretty good.
Parks and Rec would be perfect.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
I think that would absolutely
like very
work.
happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, and having a character
Like super into it.
Yeah, that's just like, we're Ghostbusters, guys.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I think you could take all of those characters
just do
and
this
have a Ghostbusters TV show.
That's funny.
So yeah, that was my idea. It started out as a goof, and then it turned into a genuine thing that I had to read a whole bunch of, and I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That was great. This is what I love pitch doctors. I love the idea of the different takes.
I loved the fake out. I love the fake out.
Yeah, me too.
I was thinking specifically of Chuck when I was doing the fake out, because he loves to be like, oh, why is this happening? Oh, it turns out it's this person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to.
Turns out Egon was buried in the pet cemetery the whole time.
yeah. And then the Terminator showed
Yep.
up. But no, I wanted to hit on some. I think the joke turned real with the idea of hitting on like literally resurrecting something.
Yeah.
And it just will never, ever, ever be the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I also think Ghostbusters and so many of these movies that are getting 30-year later sequels.
Right.
It's like it's of that time.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you make it now, like the fucking Home Alone trailer that came out.
Oh, the Home Alone trailer is crazy.
It's depressing.
Yeah,
as
that one's
shit.
terrible.
Though not only is it like dumb and stupid, and I have a million ways I can break it down why I don't like it, just on a simple level of how it's shot.
I know.
It's dark and flat. And
I think it's
boring.
like a made for TV movie.
Yeah,
I think. That's
and
what
it
it
bums
is.
the shit out of me because like the first one is vibrant, like the
Of
set
course.
is so specific. They built that whole goddamn house just
I
to
know.
do it.
I know.
And this is so flat. And I was watching it, and like my son adores Home Alone. He
Yeah.
absolutely adores it. He's loved it since he was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite movies.
Me too.
100%. And you look at that, and like we talked about Back to the Future, like this is another one of those movies.
Yeah.
And the filmmaking is at such a high level.
Yeah.
Like everything about it
I
is
know.
vibrant and interesting and grounded for a kid.
I know.
Like we talked about like George McFly's bra thing. This movie, like the one of the genius things I never even thought of until I saw that preview for this Home Alone remake
Yeah.
is, am I getting
No,
too
I'm laughing
serious?
at something I just read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A text from Brad going, he
No,
won't
no,
shut
no.
up.
It's my own writing.
It's his own writing.
Oh God damn it!
Yep.
Is that like in the new one? He's got like a T-shirt cannon, I think, that's
Yeah.
shooting
Billiard
pool balls,
balls,
billiard
yeah.
balls.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, immediately I realized, oh, that's right. Every single trap that Kevin has in the original is something that a fucking 5-year-old has seen and knows.
Yeah.
Other than the weird grill lighter heater thing
Yeah,
that goes
yeah.
on the doorknob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is a household object.
Micro
Yeah, of
machines. Yeah.
Paint cans
Yep.
on rope.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
so
right.
simple.
Yeah, of course.
Ornaments down on the ground, a nail sticking up,
Right.
ice. Like these are all saran wrap and fucking feathers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
They're all really, really understandable.
Mm-hmm.
That any kid watching it can go, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
And if it was my house, I have those things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do that. This new movie is just like, here's a huge trampoline, here's a T-shirt cannon with pool balls in it.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
and it's flat and dark.
What you know? What's really tough, and I'm just gonna say this. This is not in defense of it, but it sucks that we live in this world where some stuff is streaming and in movie theaters.
Yeah.
So you get stuff that was made for movie theaters that came out on streaming.
Yeah.
So now when someone's like, "Here's Home Sweet Home Alone on Disney Plus," it's hard for the average film goer to look at it and go, "Oh, that's a made-for-TV movie."
Yeah.
And that's what the budget is. That's what the effort is, and that's what this
Yeah,
is supposed
yeah.
to be. They'll be like, "Oh, there's a new Home Alone coming out."
Yeah,
and
and
you want
I-
to be like, "No, there's not."
No, and this Christmas, a bunch of families are going to sit down and watch that movie. And the reason I care about it
Yeah.
is because I saw the magic that can happen when a 4 or 5-year-old now
Watches Home Alone.
watches Home Alone. Yeah, I know. And like he adores it. Oh my God, he loves
I
that
know.
movie. And he gets it instantly, and I think there's a lot of reasons why. But
For sure.
what kills me is like there's going to be a bunch of like 4 or 5-year-olds this Christmas
Yeah.
that watched this Home Alone,
and they're gonna go, "Why don't I like this?"
yeah, and go, that's Home Alone, and
I
because
know.
their mom and dad, who are like our age, are going to be like, I loved Home Alone, it's the best movie. Here, check it out, watch it now, and then they're going to watch this, and it's going to be like, oh shit.
I know.
I'd rather have the kid watch the other movie that this actor is in, and that's Jojo Rabbit. Let him watch Jojo Rabbit instead. Teach him something. Let him learn for Christmas.
I'm thinking about your Ghostbusters ending
Okay.
and the idea of, Egon has hinted that there's a modification to the Ecto-1.
Mm-hmm. I thought about bringing it back as well.
I thought about and the idea that it's like a super destructive device, and so they're surrounded by this crowd of people, and they go to flip the light for the sirens, and they're like, no, don't, and they flip the new one, and it just murders thousands of people, and then they turn and they're like, I love this city, and that's it.
Yeah, I again with that rewrite or that right, that right, yeah. Again with that pitch. It's got the first act and the third act. Yeah. It is missing that middle period where you would understand more of what's going on with Egon, and it's not right. And guess what? Egon is the metaphor for bringing back Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Guy.
It sounds a lot like Jurassic World.
Yeah, the Indominus.
And the Indominus is the metaphor for making a new Jurassic Park. Same thing. All right.
Only you like the cast in this.
Yes.
I actually like, what's her name? I love her, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh yeah, no, she's great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Chris Pratt, I like him.
I like him.
I liked him.
I like him. Leave him alone.
Too much.
Leave him alone.
Too much. There's too much of a good thing, and then there's also getting like into a weird cult.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I know. So
let's hear Chuck's pitch.
The final pitch. It's called Ghostbusters.
It's called Ghostbusters. Chris Pratt.
2021. All right.
They would cast him in it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because he's just casted everything. Like, just put Chris Pratt in it.
I know. All right, you ready?
Right. Yes. Sorry.
Chuck Staten, Brad Rohr, and Ray Harrington,
the trio,
are driving to Chuck's new apartment on Staten Island.
The unholy trinity.
Yes.
Ray. Wow, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of your Christmas comedy show.
Nice.
It was very fun to do it last night at the Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, but it's very special to me that you asked me to come join you at your date at the Smod Castle in New Jersey. Chuck.
Now, is this written by somebody from Fiverr?
Chuck.
This is written by somebody from Threer.
Chuck. Geez, Ray, you're really laying it on thick. You got to chill out and just play it cool. Ray. Right. Sorry, sir. Chuck and Brad look at each other and roll their eyes.
And this is Ghostbusters?
It's a beautiful It's a beautiful New England drive. The snow is pristine, and you can still see the final remnants of fall peeking out through the winter backdrop. The boys sing as they drive. Ray, Ray is the loudest of all. Ray. In the meadow, I can build a snowman, and someday I'll name him Mr. Brown.
What? That's not even the lyric.
Chuck and Brad roll their eyes again. He doesn't even know the right words.
There we go.
Right. In the lane, I'll be glistening. Candy canes, I am listening.
Wouldn't it be better to be candy canes? I'll be kissing, right? And then you see me in the back kissing a candy cane. This is how you eat them, right?
Chuck and Brad give each other a "what the fuck is wrong with this guy" look, then a "Jesus, this guy stinks" glance, and then they throw in a "who the fuck does this asshole think he is" glimpse.
Yeah.
Glimpse.
Classic Chuck Staten writing right there.
Glimpse isn't even the right thing there.
As Ray drones on and on, and on and on, and on and on and on and on, the guys don't notice that through the woods, across the snow, through the beautiful blue sky, is a Boeing 747 careening towards them. The airplane falls from the sky and hits the car. Chuck, Brad, and Ray are vaporized. We cut to a triple funeral.
This is Ghostbusters.
In loving memory of the trio.
I'm just going to keep doing that once in a while.
There are 3 caskets with a section in front of them for people to come and cry and moan. Chuck's section is overloaded with people coming to pay their respects.
Yep.
So his section has to borrow chairs from Brad and Ray's sections.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The world mourns Chuck's death. Ray and Brad are acknowledged by some or few.
Good.
We cut to close
And
up.
this isn't even for a joke for you. This is literally how you see the world.
We cut to close up on Chuck's eyes. He's woozy.
You said that it was vaporized.
He's slowly waking up. Chuck, where am I? Brad and Ray are close by. They also awaken from what feels like an incredibly deep sleep. Brad,
I would love a deep sleep.
what's going on? Chuck, the last thing I remember was the plane. Did it hit us? Ray, I think so. Either that or boy, oh boy, did I do a fart. Chuck and Brad are disgusted with Ray. Not only is this not a good time for humor, but what a weird, terrible joke. Is this what this guy thinks is funny? Chuck desperately tries to ignore
I regret reading mine.
Chuck desperately tries to ignore Ray's asinine comments. Chuck, where are we? The trio looks around. It is completely gray. like the gun scene in The Matrix, but not white. Like I said, gray. Brad, are we in purgatory? Chuck, oh my God, we're in purgatory. We're dead. All of a sudden, St. Peter shows up. Pete, the trio. Ray, wow, you know us? Radical. Chuck, St. Pete, what are we doing, my man? How do we get out of here, hombre? Pete, oh man, I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to be here. I think you guys are all supposed to be in heaven. Brad, all of us, even Chuck? Pete,
That would be my response.
pretty much everyone goes to heaven.
This is just Bill and Ted too.
As long as you don't kill, as long as you don't kill or rape or torture or steal or do the wicked bad stuff, you're all good. Plus, you get bonus points if you make people happy. And you have all dedicated your lives to making others laugh and smile. Chuck, wow, I knew it. Brad, I didn't. What about all those times I went to church? Pete, hope you had fun, dickless. Chuck, so now what? Pete, well, I have to do some accounting, but you can't stay here. I'm sending you guys back to Earth. Ray, wow, we'll be alive again. Pete, not exactly. You guys are going to be ghosts. Brad, oh my God. Chuck, like scary ghosts or friendly ghosts or ghosts with the most? Pete, any kind of ghost you want. I'm sending you back, and I'll come get you when your afterlife is sorted out. The trio is beamed back to Earth. They're in Chuck's house in Warren, Rhode Island. They're kind of white, kind of see-through, typical ghosts. They're in Chuck's kitchen. Ray, so this is weird. Brad, right? Chuck, are you guys hungry? Brad, no, I don't think we eat. Chuck, that's why I was asking for the first time ever. I'm not hungry. Ray, can we fly? Ray tries to fly, and although he sort of floats a few inches above the ground, he cannot fly. They can't fly. They have to take the stairs to the second floor like a chump. Brad, so what do we do? Do I go back to work? Chuck, Peter, St. Peter, help us. St. Peter appears in the kitchen. What's up, you guys?
Rufus. Yeah.
Brad, we don't know what to do. We're ghosts and we've never been ghosts before. Pete, like I said, you can do whatever you want. Listen, ghosts are souls who are waiting for a final decision on whether or not they're going to heaven or hell. Most of the time, they're pretty bad people. It's people who have committed enough sins to be sent to hell, but we're trying to see if they've made up for it. Almost all the time, those people do end up in hell. The reason I tell you this is because that's the reason that most ghosts come to Earth and scare people. They're bad people just waiting out their time, and they spend it tormenting others just like they did in life. But the truth is, you can do whatever you want as a ghost. It just so happens that most people in this position are assholes. Ray, wow. Pete, I gotta go. We'll get to your thing soon. I'm 99% sure it'll be fine. You guys will end up in heaven. Chuck and Ray look at each other. Pete, 90% sure. See you later. That's the opening. And my idea is that we're ghosts, and we find out that most ghosts are bad.
Yep.
And so we decide to become Ghostbusters as ghosts in the meantime as we're waiting.
Yep.
So we have the storyline of us becoming Ghostbusters
Yep.
with like the inside knowledge, and B, what's going to happen to us.
There wasn't one goddamn Ghostbusters thing in that whole thing. there wasn't one thing.
I'll
And
say this.
You also included like a religious
I know.
dogma to this thing, which is fucking weird.
Well,
I'll say this: if we're ghosts and we have to bust other ghosts, we're just murdering.
yeah,
no,
we're just
but
murderers.
Because,
No, it's better
because
because-
St. Peter said, no, they're bad. And my first thing would be like, well, clearly you suck at figuring this out because we're here, but we're not supposed to be here.
Right.
But a plane
Well,
hit us. Where's
Claire.
everybody from the plane?
Good point.
Are they still around?
Yeah.
Do
Here's
we
the
have
deal.
to murder them?
Well, here's the deal. Like let's say we have like the containment unit.
Yeah.
We know that ghosts are temporary.
Yep.
So like, let's say we put them in there. That's more like a jail than like they're just going to be stuck in here forever.
Okay.
Because eventually they're going to be figured out in the afterlife. A,
Right.
so that's good. B, we know that ghosts tormenting people are pretty much bad people. And C, this is just what we're doing for now. I kind of wanted to build in a thing where you go to see your family and they're scared of you. You try to go to work, but they can't get your social security number because you're dead.
And by definition, you say, like, they're scared of me, so I'm scaring them. And St. Peter said, oh, they're bad. That's why they scare people.
Well, I didn't put that in. That was
Well,
just an idea.
now and then you're like, oh, I can't.
Guess I'm bad.
You're like, I can't see my family because I'll scare them, and I don't want to go to hell for scaring people.
Yeah.
Right.
And well, then
So I guess I'll live
or
in my own personal hell, never seeing my family.
right, or you are, or you develop a sympathy for the ghosts who are scaring people.
And try and talk them out of it.
Because they're like, I just want to see my family.
Yeah, maybe or you have that in your heart, and so I'm like, fuck these ghosts, let's get them. And you're like, we don't know if they're bad. This might be an act. This might. So there's a lot of stuff that floats around when we're all ghosts.
Ed Gein? Well, we don't know. We don't know. Let's talk to him. Are you cool? Sure. He seems cool.
Yeah. He said he was cool.
He said he was cool.
I like kids. You like kids? He's like, yeah.
Ed Gein didn't do anything with kids.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Jesus. So I like that you're essentially describing what I will now call ghost rustlers instead of Ghostbusters.
Well, that's the thing is, we can feel like we're, because I did. So this is one of the things that I find weird when I watch Ghostbusters. I'm like, is every ghost bad?
Oh no, it's another list of ABC.
Well, I'm just saying, is every ghost bad? Like, what was Slimer before he was a ghost? Is that a guy? Like, I don't understand.
Sure.
Are these bad people? Are they good people? Are you putting them in hell by, are you putting them in a jail that they rot in eternity? You know what I mean?
Right.
This kind of solves a bunch of those problems.
Yeah.
But I like the idea.
You add in heaven and hell, and it's weird. It's weird. It doesn't fit with it, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck's going on? Because I feel like adding a set like
I know
because Ghostbusters, like the ghost concept there is just like ghouls and goblins, right?
Yes,
a lot of ghouls and goblin shit. In fact, I don't think we see anybody until like all hell breaks loose. We see some like. We even see like corporeal skeleton
like zombies.
people and zombie and shit. Yeah. But before that, we're seeing like, I guess the librarian is like like a person ghost. But there's never ever a sense of like, that's old Sheila Barnes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's never.
I know.
Oh no, except for in 2.
Well, the ghost blowjob
Yeah.
was originally like a romantic story between Dan Aykroyd and a ghost. That's why if you look at it, it's really weird. Like he's dressed in like old clothing too when he's in the bed and stuff like that.
That whole shot is fucking. It's like Dan. Yeah,
this didn't need to happen. Yeah.
But what if they? No, Dan.
I got an idea. That was pretty good.
Here's what I want to do.
It's hard to do that.
It's hard to do an Aykroyd. But
it seems like it's not going to be that hard until it comes out.
Ew. But the addition of a heaven and hell proposition here,
yes,
it gets real hazy to me because then you're adding in all of the, because literally Saint Peter shows up and I'm like, whoa, so we got angels in this shit. I got to be honest with you, Slimer seems like just way out of place now. You know what I mean?
Well, it'd be cool if Slimer graduated to angel.
I'm an angel now.
He's eating the hot dog.
I'm an angel now. Oh shit!
He's a guardian angel, but like he's very bad at his job.
Oh god, the remake of Touched by an Angel with Slimer.
Yes.
Well,
slimed by an angel.
I've got polio.
My thought was, I like the idea of ghosts becoming Ghostbusters.
Yes, I agree.
That is fun.
Right. B,
which is what's going to happen for sure in the new movie. Egon's going to come back and save the day at the very, very end. We're going to see a little horrible CGI shot.
You think so?
Of Ivan Reitman, and it's going to be like, ugh, you're literally dragging him up from the dead.
We'll see.
And he's going to do like one little thing to help Stranger Things boy be a Stranger Thing. Then they're going to Stranger Thing together, and then the car is going to come again. Everybody's going to look at it. Sorry.
We'll see. But I like ghosts becoming Ghostbusters, and I like the idea of actually saying like these ghosts are like bad in some way, as opposed to just we don't get a story. They're just ghosts.
But they're monster ghosts. You know what I mean? They're ghouls. They're goblins. They're baddies.
I guess
it's clear. Not one of those ghosts are you like, they're okay.
Yeah.
I know. Although, the blowjob one, I guess, is okay. Like, I mean, if you're
the blowjob one is more generous than most women I've realized.
Whoa. Okay. Some misogyny creeping up.
What?
Yeah. St. Peter knows where you're going.
Why is that misogynistic?
Hey, these chicks won't suck my dick enough. That's what you just said. I mean, it's pretty clear that busting makes me feel good. Why won't you let me bust? I don't know why it's suddenly Tony Soprano. Yeah, these chicks won't let me fucking bust. This is fucking ridiculous.
Now I'm trying to get...
Chrissy, get my proton
Chrissy!
Sopranos Ghostbusters. Woke up this morning.
Like, to me, the first Ghost in the Library She looks normal.
Yeah, but then she's a ghoul.
But then they bother her, and then she's a ghoul. So in other words, what if they didn't come? Like, would she just be a ghost in the library? That's
the
a
library,
woman?
it's still getting fucked up when they're going through the library. Like when that first the first librarian, like all the shit's coming out of the stuff, and she scares the shit out of her.
Yeah, right.
They're just existing. You know what I mean? Right. I don't think there's a ghost in the movies except for the blowjob ghost, which is clearly an outlier. That is clearly a Dan Aykroyd idea. Nobody else is in the room.
I would like to strike the blowjob ghost from the record.
My thinking is if Ivan Reitman or Bill Murray were on set that day, the scene would, like, they went to lunch and he's like, all right, get the crew back together. You know,
Put on this powder.
No lunch today. Let's do this. Here are the pages, and it's all handwritten.
I
napkins.
I like
There's
the
not a lot
idea.
of dialogue in this
I like the
scene.
idea
These
that,
napkins are
that there's just no crew. Like everyone has gone to lunch,
He
or
set the
it's at
cameras
the end of the
up.
night. He's like, all right, press record. He runs. He gets in the bed. He's like, and then he goes back. He's like, how's the lighting? All right, great. And then like he's hand drawing the effects in after the fact.
Did I cross my eyes enough to show that I'm coming? He does. He crosses his eyes. That's how you know it's a good blowjob, because he's like, wow.
See, that was a whole subplot, though.
Yeah.
That was like another storyline.
Again, Dan Aykroyd, if left
I
to
know.
his own devices,
I know.
he's way down the rabbit hole.
That's what I read.
Yeah, and it takes like Ivan Reitman to pull him back and be like, let's make a movie here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
bizarre to think that he's like that, and he still grew Zelensky Auto Parts into such a big company.
It's huge.
I don't
Huge.
remember. Was it Zelensky Auto Parts? It was something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. I mean, the guy is he's a cheapskate grifter. You know what I mean? He's always counting on his brother-in-law to pay for everything.
Yep.
Even when he goes on vacation
Oh,
in the
yeah.
great outdoors.
Yeah, not cool at all.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But he can play the shit out of the harmonica.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, charitable guy. Raised $25,000 for that orphanage
Yes.
at the Blues Brothers. Was that the whole plot of Blues?
Yeah. They saved the orphanage.
Yeah.
You're right. He's a complicated man. He has had a long history.
Yeah.
Sold that glass to kids.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember?
Did
know what
he,
we're doing
Did he
anymore.
trade places with somebody at some point?
I think he did trade places with someone, if I'm remembering
Yeah.
correctly.
I have an actual quote about Dan Aykroyd about the scene.
Please.
He said the seduction ghost. In paranormal research, it's a common thing. Ghosts doing sexual things to people. I have a friend who had 3 women visit him in a haunted house in Louisiana, and it was one of the greatest nights of his life.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
Man
His
banged a
friend had a
nutria.
foursome with ghosts.
Ugh.
The trio.
He went to an abandoned brothel in New Orleans. He got his dick sucked right off of his body.
I have it
Here in this jar. In this crystal skull jar.
I mean, I guess, a succubi or a succubus or a succubi or, creatures.
That's what I wish they'd see.
Jesus.
It's a real stretch.
How did
Real
only because of you.
stretch.
How did we get here? And it's because of Chuck Staten. Now we're just doing ghost blowjob jokes. Oh, you know what? This is a nice award for anybody that waited till the end of this episode, that got through all of this just to get to this part about like getting head from ghosts.
I was trying to, rationalize Dan Aykroyd's point, but nope.
Nope.
Chuck's got to make it about the wham bam, thank you ma'am style of lovemaking he's interested in.
Just float back through the wall.
Hey, bring me back a sandwich when you float back.
I have 2 questions. One about what we're talking about right now. One about what we talked about 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
Which one do you want?
Right now.
First, right now. When a Dan Aykroyd
Yeah.
or a Chuck Staten has their they get to the end of that rainbow they've been chasing.
Yeah.
Right? When they, ejaculate.
Yeah.
When they ejaculate.
Yes.
Right? Does the ghost, the Bajibber ghost, does the Bajibber ghost, like, do you see it?
That was what I said earlier when
Yeah.
I said it would just be floating around in the air.
Yeah, and then when she leaves and goes through the ceiling, floor, or wall,
Right.
is it then stuck on the wall?
Or does the ghost contain it?
Oh, you know what? I think
Right,
Slimer,
right.
Slimer gives us the answer to this question because when he eats food, it just falls out of him. Is that right? Doesn't he eat a bunch of food and it falls onto the ground?
I can't remember if it falls onto the ground.
Remember, he's eating it from a
the
hospital.
cartoon changed that all
Well,
around.
he's eating.
You know?
They come into a hotel and they come around a corner and he's eating it off of a hotel tray.
Yeah.
I think it's falling onto the ground.
I don't remember if it's falling. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't.
By the way, the
What
Dark
do they
Tower
say?
series by Stephen King has an answer to this, but it's not passing through.
Oh well, my question was, what do they What do you're on, Chuck? You're on your computer. What does it say about Slimer sucking dick? What does it say there?
It's like there's a lot of fan fiction
I found the
here.
scene where they find
Slash
Slimer.
fiction.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Hold on.
All right, so
Dan Aykroyd is walking onto Slimer eating.
Bustin' makes me
Oh,
feel
it
good.
cuts right before he starts eating
I
and
don't
it
think you can
cuts.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a weird question.
Call Dan Aykroyd.
Is this Chuck Staten?
I gotta say, no, it goes inside him. It goes inside him like he's a Muppet.
All right.
I mean, he's a Muppet. I'm sure. So the jizz is gone. That's your question.
All right, good. Now the
I've
question.
done my
from-
research. The jizz is gone. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the jizz is gone.
No, it's your 10 minutes ago one.
Slowly turning back into Dan Aykroyd. Ladies and gentlemen, the jizz is gone. Ladies and gentlemen of the ghost jury,
Bears.
I think you'll find the jizz is gone. Sorry. I'm sorry. Now
10
I'm
minutes ago.
fascinated with doing a Dan Aykroyd. Now I swear to God, I like
When you
for
go
the next
home-
few days,
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
going to be
me too.
muttering to
Me
myself
too,
in my
Dan
office.
Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Because it's
Crystal
deceptively
Skull Vodka.
it's deceptively difficult
Yeah.
to do that voice. So what was your 10 minutes ago question?
My 10 minutes ago question: how do the We Three Busters?
The trio.
Yeah. How do can we physically hold a proton pack? How do we
Yeah.
build them? Who has the wherewithal to build them? Are they ghost proton packs or are they physical proton packs?
I think that everything's physical because ghosts in the world of Ghostbusters in the continuity, they can hold stuff.
Yeah.
They can move things. I think that we build our own versions of all that stuff, and maybe because we're ghosts, we need to wear like extra protection or something, or like you know how they're like don't look into the trap, even though they never really go anywhere with that.
Yeah.
we really can't look into the trap.
And the risks are real for us because we could get hit with that beam.
well, that's
you know?
I think that's going to happen by the end of the movie.
Oh, boy.
Is like you're too close to the ghost. That's really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like I can't.
Yeah,
and you're
because
like,
once
do
you
it.
get roped by the proton pack, that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It can be shut off and you're fine.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of places to go if the ghosts are the Ghostbusters. And you know, it'd be a cool name for it. And I was gonna say it, but I didn't want to give anything away. If it was called Ghostbusters, but the word "ghost" was in italics.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
fun. I think that's a fun way to do it.
I was thinking Ghostbusters, like just the devil ghost.
Ghostbuster ghost.
Ghost flusters.
Yes.
But I like that idea, and I like the idea of kind of. Okay, let's say you don't want to go in a dogma direction.
Yeah, I not to poo-poo on it.
Yeah, I know. I
really
felt the same way.
It really
I
weirds me
felt
out
the
with
same way
the-
because I'm like, oh, so are there ghosts if they go to hell? Are there ghosts if they go to heaven? Are they only ghosts in purgatory?
Also, why as ghosts are we not going around going, hey, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, living and dead, did you know that the like modern Judeo-Christian God is like the one? Wow.
yeah, I
this
know.
is weird.
Yeah, I know.
Like showing up at like
I would
showing up at a synagogue or mosque going, hey, you guys got it wrong.
Well, what I like is the ghosts are Ghostbusters, and we have a reason that the other ghosts, we know that they should be contained and they
Right.
should be jailed or in some way.
Because an angel told us they were bad.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is what a serial killer would say.
But I like the idea of figuring that out, and then also the ticking clock of like, I did think the idea of ghosts only exist in purgatory, and we're in purgatory, but we don't know why, and he doesn't know why, and we're figuring out. That's also a fun little thread.
I suspect this episode of the podcast is why.
We're in purgatory because of this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say the idea of a ghostly Ghostbuster,
Yeah.
like if this were a few years or even 5 or 10 years after Ghostbusters 2 and they were going
Right.
to make another Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
I do think it's super interesting to have one of the Ghostbusters be a ghost, like in my version with
Yes, Egon.
with Egon,
Yeah.
and with what I am fucking sure will happen in the new movie. Having Egon as a ghost is super interesting. I don't like it at all when the actual actor is dead because then you
Yeah,
can,
it's a little bit weird.
just no. Now you're just holding up a corpse. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they were all alive and they had this version go down,
Right.
I think having one of them be an actual ghost is
Yeah.
super interesting because
Yeah,
there's a
that
lot
is.
to play with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a
That's-
lot
that's
to
what I
play
was
with,
thinking,
right?
yeah.
Like if this were the animated series, so you don't even have to worry about the original people.
Right.
Yeah.
A new animated series comes out.
Yep.
One of the Ghostbusters is a ghost.
Great.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah. And
It's-
that ghost
it's infinitely more
that
interesting.
ghost like can sneak into places and get intel about things.
But also has to worry about like the ghost can harm him more.
Right. In some
and
way.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he can sneak in and stuff, and the traps and stuff like that are a danger to him.
Right.
But he has a leg up because he can do certain things. I
Exactly.
think that's super interesting.
Right,
I like that a
right.
lot. And you'd get a lot of stuff where he's basically hiding from other people.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
nobody can see him because then they'll think he's a
And I also want a scene in this where we have to go to a party and we have to make people think that we're alive. So we have to like dress up and like have things all over
put
us to make
makeup
them
on
think,
and shit. Yeah. Like the Invisible Man.
But we're ghosts.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we walk through a wall and the makeup is on the wall and stuff like that. Like that's really
fun.
funny.
Isn't that like I'm just imagining when I think it's Donatello just
Yeah.
like wears a trench coat and a hat.
Yeah, oh,
right.
for sure.
I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
trench coat and hat business going
Oh
on.
yeah.
I also think that we should be like anti-racist.
You know, it'd be funny if the new Ghostbusters with Paul Rudd does have Ghost Egon.
Not a lot. I think
Yeah,
he'll
at the
show
end.
up at the very
if
end
they
when it's
do,
needed. Yeah.
and they make an action figure of him, the name on it should be E-Gone. That would
like
be
that.
so funny.
Egon? Yeah, that's fun.
I love that. Like it doesn't even have to be anywhere in the movie.
What
Right.
if it's Egon?
Yes, right.
Because he's gone.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I thought you just did a hyphen at the beginning. Like, never mind. Okay.
Oh no, I meant gone. Yeah,
I'm
gone.
sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't even pick up on that one.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Now I'm dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I fit your little script story, your little
did a big
masturbation
fart.
fantasy.
You know what's so funny?
You did have a lot written for typing with one hand, though. I will
Yeah.
give you credit.
whenever we like, I write a script. Just making one person like singing a Christmas Carol wrong, I love that.
When
It's
you
so
say
fun.
one person,
It's just Ray.
Maybe Brad.
it could be
It-
Brad.
it-
If
it
I'm
has
not
been
in
Brad.
it'll be Brad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
it's not
I'm in
it's
it,
not going to be Chuck.
Oh no. But Chuck, because Chuck is the smartest, most handsome,
I had
clever,
my
funny
hungry
boy.
joke. That was funny.
I do love the idea of the three-way funeral, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be like Ray doesn't have anyone there for, but
Yeah.
no, neither of us.
Oh, no, I knew that was
neither
gonna
Ray
I
happen.
nor
didn't
I
say
Ray.
neither of you have
absolutely knew
anyone
that.
there. We
We-
just need to
we-
borrow a few chairs.
Yeah, we don't have enough.
I knew that was gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a little.
Right.
predictable.
I definitely
Yeah.
knew that
I
Chuck was
gonna
going
do-
to have the
you
most
wanna hear-
well-attended
wanna hear
part.
The really
Yeah.
strange idea. I was gonna do a Three Little Pigs thing where one of the caskets was made of straw and like one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is
But
that
it
is
was like-
weird.
Like,
yeah.
I got to the end of it and I'm like, well, who would blow them? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Yeah, blow the caskets apart, yes. Yeah.
Saint Peter.
yeah.
Suck you by.
By the way, the idea of Saint Peter turning out to be a fallen angel like Lucifer.
I was gonna say, I think Saint Peter.
Are we being
Yeah,
tricked
yeah,
I was
into?
thinking
Yeah.
that maybe it's false information by
Yep.
the end in some way.
I was legit feeling I was waiting for death to show up,
right.
and
the
I-
smartest creatures in the universe, maybe
Station?
Station.
Oh, absolutely. It did feel very Bill and Ted.
The second one.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never seen it.
Yep.
You fool. You
I've only seen the
absolute
first
fool.
one.
You're missing out because the second
I
one
know.
is by far the better.
I know you.
I mean,
like
I
it.
love them both, but that
know.
is such it's such
great-
a good movie.
I gotta watch.
It's got a great soundtrack for Brad.
d-
I'll tell you
ooh.
that. Yeah.
Honey, let me tell you,
good.
I used to walk home in 7th grade and 8th grade. I would walk home listening to that album like all the time.
It's a great album.
It's fucking great.
Steve Vai, the Reaper Rap.
The Reaper Rat. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah.
I am the novelist. What is your mission?
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the Bill and Ted series.
Here we go. Pitch Doctors, Bill and Ted.
4.
Let's forget about 3.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Ray, thank you so much for being with us.